We are live. Yes, we're live. Guys, greetings, salutations. Welcome back to the channel for this extra packed coverage of CinemaCon, because we're not just going to be talking about one of the presentations, but two of the presentations. Universal's presentation, there was just not enough time in between Universal's presentation and then Amazon MGM's presentation for us to do them separately. So we're going to have to cover both of them. And the Amazon one just finished about 20 minutes ago. So I know this is a late one, especially for those of you guys on the East Coast. Those of you on the East Coast, special shout out to you guys for being here. It's like 1:30 in the morning where you are, and you're here anyway. So Woo. That's what we like to see. Totally worth it. So we're going to talk about two different things. We're going to talk about the Universal presentation that they gave and the films that they highlighted. And then we're going to talk about the surprisingly good Amazon MGM.
Crushed it.
Oh, they crushed it. But we'll get to them in just a second. So we're going to start off with Universal's day started before their presentation, because they did a special screening, full screening this morning of the new live action How to Train Your Dragon. I thought this was a good idea to do it with this one. I didn't know how it was going to turn out. We went to go see it, and some of you guys may have seen that I put up a right out of the theater review. It's up there now on the channel. You can go see it. But just to highlight, I thought in the first 10, 12 minutes of the movie, I thought the movie sucked. It felt completely flat. It felt overly scripted. It felt very tell, don't show. And it felt like a high school dramatization of How to Train Your Dragon. Like it had no spirit to it, had no heart to it. It just felt very, this is just flat. And then about 10 plus minutes into the movie, 12 minutes, 15 minutes, whatever it was, Hiccup meets Toothless. And then the warmth of the movie starts to come, and the depth. And all of a sudden, everything being spoken sounds more authentic. Everything happening felt more emotionally true. It all of a sudden started to have heart and soul to it. And then it got exciting, and the visuals are fantastic, even though they told us that all the visuals weren't necessarily done yet. But they showed us the movie anyway. And by the end of the movie, I could confidently say I loved it. It was the complete opposite reaction that I had to Snow White. Whereas like the first 10 minutes, I'm like, this is really good. And then after the first 10 minutes, it's like, oh no, this is not so good. Totally opposite. This one started off like a bag of crap, and then all of a sudden it flipped a switch, and the entire rest of the movie was just pure joy. I loved the movie. And Rob, you and I were sitting right there. What did you think about How to Train Your Dragon?
Well, I think I would say it as an animation director, because he wrote and directed this, was getting his sea legs. It felt to me like when I'm watching the movie, I'm waiting for here. They're in this magical realm. They're on this Burke, the island. There was no magic at all. It was like watching an amalgamation of 10 different fantasy movies you'd seen. And I felt the same way you did. The lines were delivered in a very perfunctory way. I didn't feel anything. I should have felt like, I hate to say it, but you have voiceover explaining Burke. And then where was the Shire moments that you got from the beginning of Lord of the Rings? And then like you.
And it felt small.
It felt really small.
They made Burke feel small.
They did, like it was a few sets.
Yeah.
But like you, I thought something really strange happened. And I think, was it because the material is so good and beloved and well-trodden? But I think, he just had to figure it out. And it was weird because it crept up on me. At first, after the first 10 minutes, I'm like, ugh, if it's going to be like this, it's going to be interminable. But then but then it was like feeling a symbiote, like take me over from the feet and slowly slithered up my body. And about halfway into the movie, I was delighted. Like I was so into it, and I thought I loved the character designs and the animation of the dragons, and I mean everything that was going on. I loved Gerard Butler. I mean, I just started to love and the actress they have playing, what's her face?
Astrid, who I accidentally called Hagrid.
No, Astrid.
In my out of theater review.
It's one of my favorite
me was
names.
Astrid.
It's so funny because she looks really interesting.
Yeah,
she has this very interesting look. I don't know if it's beautiful, but it was really interesting. I was mesmerized by her. And by the halfway point in the movie, I'm like, this is great. I am loving this. I got to the end, dude. I got choked up.
Oh, yeah.
I got emotional.
I own those
movie,
movies on Blu. I've those movies in 3D, and I'm like, I knew what was coming, but by the end, I'm like, and I have to say, this is the third movie from our friend Roy Lee that has been previewed at CinemaCon. The first being The Long Walk, the second being Weapons, and now How to Train Your Dragon. I mean, Roy Lee's going to make all the money.
He's gonna make.
It's going to be a hit. It's definitely going to be a hit.
Oh, it's going to be huge.
Yeah,
Huge.
I can't wait to take my kids. I was sitting next to a woman who had not seen the animated film, and she was on the emotional roller coaster journey. And anyone who's seen the animated film, you know what happens at the climax of the big battle sequence, right? Where there's that moment where you don't know what happened. And she was, oh no. And it made my experience so much better. And I didn't think the first 15 minutes was quite as bad as you guys, but it wasn't great. And it was but I will say the opening sequence, that voiceover, I think is exactly the same or very
As it is from the
as it is from the animated. So I kind of expected that, but it was a lot of explaino. But you're right, the moment he meets Toothless, it is just so heartwarming. And we were in. And I loved so much of this movie, guys, is the flight sequence, is the emotional connection between the dragon and it was
awe-inspiring too.
Yes,
because that's that great music score plays.
Wonderful.
As they're sailing over the mountains and down by the water, they really captured it. It looked fantastic.
It does.
And they did have some of the best swag. I'm really happy with this mug they gave out.
How to Train Your Dragon mugs that they gave us. So
I messed up. I gave mine away to someone who really wanted it, and I didn't know there was a coupon inside for a free drink. I was totally regretting it. Anyways, the first 15 minutes to me, I think it was just like they look really clean. They weren't in battle. Like as soon as they started getting dirty, it stopped looking like the Acolyte, where it's like too clean. You can't believe that this world exists. I think that was the only problem in the beginning. The actor,
would you say there was no verisimilitude?
Yeah, the actor, I couldn't get over how much he was the live action version of Hiccup. His voice, and everything
he was great.
Was absolute. I don't know.
He was the kid from the Black Phone.
He's a lot older in real life, probably, right? But he played down to that age.
No, I don't think he
well.
is. He was pretty young in Black Phone, so I don't think he's that all that young.
17.
Oh wow,
Baby.
He's really tall for 17 now. He's great getting some height. Good job to him. I thought Gerard Butler was great. I thought towards the end, the interaction between them two hit a lot of soft spots.
When he said he was proud of him,
I think Ray and I both cried when that moment
I was crying so many times.
It was really good.
It was
so
good.
many things that I didn't even know would make me cry. It was just a lot of it just shows you how well the movie.
Yeah, well, speaking of crying, Anne was busted into tears several times throughout the film. What did you think about How to Train Your Dragon?
Well, with these movies, it's like how they capture the dragons for me, and I was worried about it because, in animation, you could probably draw up whatever version of a dragon you wanted to see. But in this, with the CGI or whatever, it was beautiful. I loved how each dragon had their own personality in their design. They stuck to their, animation pieces where Toothless still carried over the similar look, but there was depth to how they really animated these characters for the live action version. And I was going to call out because John leaned over to me during the movie and he was like, "Is that the kid from Deadpool 2?"
Mm-hmm.
It is the kid.
It is.
Okay, I
Yeah.
totally is.
Yeah.
He was great.
He was wonderful and he was really good. I thought he was great. And by the way, I had a lot of people ask me, is it a shot for shot remake of the animated thing? It is not.
No.
They definitely recreate some of the iconic scenes. Absolutely. And I get why people ask it, because in the trailer, like that whole hand on him thing was very much similar. And it does recreate some
They
of the
even
big classic
did that in the
shots.
presentation later.
Yeah, they
They
did.
did that cut between the two
And
shots.
so it does recreate some of those classic moments in the movie, but it is not a shot-for-shot remake. And it is had a lot of people. So what's better, the original or this? Guys, they're two different experiences. One's done in the animation format. One's done in live action. I'll just say they're both great. But this movie was wonderful, and I can honestly not wait for it to come out in theaters and to go back and see it again. I'm counting down the days that I can go watch it again.
It's just a beautiful story that I think it needs to be retold to the newer generation. I think that's what this movie is going to do. It's going to be their first, a lot of kids' first
Yeah,
experience
because
with
you're
How to Train Your
17
Dragon.
years later.
And then you
Totally.
just move on with that. Maybe they said they're going to make a second one, third one.
Well,
right?
I was gonna move
Right.
on. We're going to talk about that a little bit later in the presentation. So Gerard Butler, the girl who played Astrid, who was in Last of Us, and the director, who was also the original director of the original animated film, came out during the screening. But then they came back out later in the day during the Universal presentation to officially announce that they've already greenlit How to Train Your Dragon 2, and it's coming in 2 years, which means they're going into production like
So
real soon. If not all, I mean, they're already in pre-production for sure. So we're gonna get, guys, seriously, it's such a wonderful film. It really is. But if you're like me and you get in the movie in the first few minutes, you're like, this isn't so hot. I was right there with you. Hang in there just for a couple of minutes because it really starts to take off. Anyway, that was our thoughts on How to Train Your Dragon. So that ended that. We went and had birthday lunch for Anne because today is Anne's birthday.
Oh my God, was that good?
Delicious.
What was the name of the place we ate?
Peter Luger.
Peter Luger's. Right.
I put up a video of our steaks on my Instagram story
They
because
were
the way
impressive.
that they cook the steaks is very unique to Peter Luger. So
Delicious.
So we went out to that, and then after birthday lunch, we went back to the Coliseum Theater for the Universal presentation, and let's get into that. What did they start off with?
They started off with Jurassic World Rebirth. They brought
Right.
out Gareth Edwards, Mahershala Ali, and ScarJo.
Can I just point out, you can't forget to mention they had a full orchestra.
Yes.
Oh
I'm
my
so
God.
sorry
How did
we
about
forget?
that.
Yeah.
Come on.
Okay,
Beautiful.
so right at the beginning of the Universal presentation,
Didn't mean to interrupt. I'm sorry.
but no, I'm glad because I totally forgot to bring that up. So when we get in there, and there's a full, it felt like a John Williams concert. There's a full orchestra on stage. So we all thought, and I were talking, okay, so they're just going to play the classic Universal intro, do do do,
Which they
do,
did.
which they did do. But no, they were there to play through the whole, and they got the
Awesome.
conductor for the Oscars orchestra to play for it, and it was just. So they start off this big medley of classic Universal films,
Which
with
was all played by the orchestra.
all played by the orchestra, and I was getting
Psycho.
even
emotional.
that basically made me cry.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
Back
I
to
was
the
getting
Future,
emotional.
Psycho, Jaws, Jurassic Park. I mean, it was banger.
Yeah, it was so good. And then for the rest of the presentation, for the next 2 hours, they would play on whoever the next guest coming out was and off, and they played some special pieces, and it was amazing. And they sounded so good.
So good.
So big marks to Universal for that, because that was a great idea.
That wasn't cheap.
No, that was not cheap.
I mean,
Hiring a union orchestra and bringing it into a union
There
shop.
was no downtime between transitions of films because the orchestra would come in and it just
Yeah.
flowed so well. Oh, it
great.
was such a great experience.
Anyway, so Gareth Edwards, Mahershala Ali, and Scarlett Johansson come out to talk about Jurassic World. What's it called again? Rebirth.
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 They were
And-
pretty funny.
First of all, they were really funny. And you know what? I am convinced now that Mahershala Ali watches the John Campea Show. Because when Gareth Edwards goes, when you get to work with an Academy Award winner like Mahershala Ali, and then you just hear really low voice whisper into his microphone, Mahershala Ali go, 2-time. And they're like, what? 2-time Academy Award winner. So it's like,
And
okay.
Scarlett Johansson, and she's like, and
And Scarlett Johansson's won, and they're like, no, oh, you haven't won an Academy Award? They were really, because listen, even when they bring out great people, 80% of the times the shtick doesn't really go over on
No.
stage. It's just fun to see the actors. But that one was funny. Now, of course, when Mahershala Ali came out, you heard a lone voice yelling out in the theater, Blade! It was Ray. Like literally, you just heard this one voice yelling in the theater, Blade!
by the way, he's tall.
He's a tall
And I'll
dude.
tell you, when
Yeah.
he walked out on stage, I mean, that guy, he's so dapper and
I
so
know,
just
man.
distinguished.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, I really want to see that motherfucker kill vampires.
You could never sense
God
cool.
damn.
You could never sense cool, but with him, if there was a feeling or something,
Yes.
he had it. He had
Plus,
that cool
it's
factor.
just like the way he speaks. Like the
I
way
love it.
I
I
like
love it.
watching his mouth just
Yeah.
enunciate words. He's
yeah.
got this great face. I love that guy.
Yeah.
He's
He did.
great.
But
Yeah.
ScarJo she's always wonderful in person. And
Yeah.
so she just was so natural. Like,
Bubbly.
And she's
And
like,
bubbly.
I'm trying to get in one of these movies since I was a kid.
yeah, she goes, I've literally been calling them whenever, she said for like 15 years, whenever we heard there was a new Jurassic movie, I would always call and say, you know I'm available. And so
And Gareth Edwards goes, yeah, but you're too expensive.
Oh yeah, he's too expensive.
It was awesome.
He was really like trolling her like the whole time. I wonder if that was written or off the cuff. It was just, but it was hilarious, and it was none of it was serious.
Oh yeah, none of it came off as mean. It was all done in fun.
It was just funny how he kept just.
And Mahershala Ali's like, yeah, man, you've directed a Star Wars movie, you've directed a Godzilla movie. I guess it's time you direct a Jurassic Park movie. It was pretty cool.
That was a flex. That was cool.
I like that.
That was a
He
big
flexed
plus.
for his own director. I love that.
So that they were wonderful, but the big thing was they played a new promotional piece for Jurassic World. Now, I thought the last one was pretty good. That was pretty good. I'm not going to lie and say that I've been super excited for a new Jurassic World movie, but the first trailer was pretty good. This thing they showed us tonight.
Oh my God!
Which, I mean, it wasn't a standard trailer because it was longer than that.
It was like 4 minutes plus.
Yeah, 4+ minutes long. And if we've been waiting for the thing that would get us excited, because I haven't been excited about Jurassic World yet. We've been waiting for the thing that will get us excited. I think I speak for everybody in the room. This was the thing that made us excited. This new thing they showed us looked. Actually, it looked like they actually, I think Scarlett Johansson mentioned it, and when they showed us the piece, it was true. They've brought horror back to Jurassic World. They've brought the horror back. And you really get a sense of that. Not undercutting some good fun humor as well, but I mean, there are some straight up terrifying moments.
Well, I loved in the beginning, it looked like they had some contagion escape from a biolab, like it was a disease.
Open the door.
Yeah, and then they're like, oh, it shuts and you see behind him, and they cut away from when the true gore would hit the screen, but it was awesome. I'm like, okay, I'm in.
By the way, before I forget, you just reminded me of something. One of the things Gareth Edwards said, him and Mahershala Ali during their presentation, was like, in our movie, you actually see the monsters. It's not that you hear monster and you look over your shoulder and it's disappeared, or you hear the monster and you look over your other shoulder and it's stuck behind the bushes. This isn't a streaming movie. He says, remember that?
That got a massive pop.
That got a huge pop. I think it was Mahershala the one that says, yeah, it's not a streaming movie. This is so anyway, so I just you said that and it reminded me of the joke they made. Anyway, what did you think about the?
Well, I agree. What they're bringing the horror back to
Yeah.
it, which makes me question bringing my young children to it because they love watching dinosaurs on YouTube.
Look, dude.
But you'll have to see it first.
There's
yourself.
a sequence where it reminded me of the original sequence from Jurassic Park where the T-Rex is chasing down the Jeep and they're trying to get away. And they're in an inflatable canoe boat and they're paddling through a river and there's a T-Rex sinking into the river trying to get after them.
That was awesome.
It was so awesome.
You know, but let me just tell you.
Yes.
Kids love watching people eaten by dinosaurs.
Oh, I'm aware. I might be a bad parent.
They like that,
yeah.
and they like watching apes on horseback with rifles killing fools. It's just a truism in life.
And what's the one thing this movie might be missing, just to make it perfect?
Ninjas.
Yeah.
Ninjas. That's the last thing they need to make it
But
perfect.
there might be.
Well, you never know. They left the door open. Then ninjas could ride in.
The ninjas could be showing up.
I just never caught on to the fact that I just heard it today that they're going to an island where I guess the worst mutation.
Well, it's the island from Jurassic World, from Jurassic Park 2.
But they've kept all these species there.
No, I think it's a different island. It was the first island where they started experimenting.
Right, which is the
there's
island?
Isla Sorna, which is Jurassic Park 2.
Not Isla Nuba.
And Isla Nublar is where the park was.
Right.
So
but
this
I
was
thought they said this was Isla, like the one from
No, I
Jurassic
think
Park
this
2.
was an island we didn't know existed yet.
Oh, okay.
And
So
they did
I
all
might
the
have
genetic
misunderstood that.
experimentations that
Right.
didn't work because they showed somebody we haven't seen before.
Yeah, location.
That one bit. You
Oh
guys know,
my
the
God.
Holy moly dinosaur.
I was like, yeah.
Location aside, it's just the fact that we're going to see
But it might
certain
be.
dinosaurs that we haven't been introduced to.
But they
like-
do that. See, that's the thing, though. I feel like they've done that with every Jurassic
Yeah,
World.
there's always
Every
one
Jurassic
big
World.
baddie.
Now's the new mega dinosaur, but now it's the new mega dinosaur.
It's the island of Dr. Moreau dinosaurs.
And they don't often, they just come across as, okay, I get it. This is the new, better than the T-Rex dinosaur. This one is nightmare fuel.
Yeah, totally.
Like this one
dude.
is like pure nightmare fuel. It's like the Darth Maul of Jurassic Park dinosaur.
And such a small team they're putting on that island.
You know
Such a
what?
small
I tell you,
team.
there's gonna be a bigger. There has to be a bigger team, and there will be a bigger team because you need more humans getting killed.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
gonna have to put cannon fodder out there.
And that's what I was thinking. I was like, I'm kind of getting tired of being in this isolated place. I think I want them to eventually bring it back to the city, the
But
big
they've done
city.
that before.
But oh yeah, they did. But I mean, come on. I mean, I don't know.
So that was the Jurassic World Rebirth thing. Again, I don't know if the movie's going to be crap or not. I mean, it might be crap, but we're just saying that the presentation they showed us today actually finally moved the needle for me, and it's kind of made me a little bit excited for it. So,
I have to say, same with me. I was like, I didn't care. I love Jurassic Park movies. There's been 6 of them. They're all kind of the same. Nothing is better than the first 2. But this,
this looks like it has potential.
Great potential.
yeah,
Yeah,
it
a lot
looks
of
like it's going
potential.
to bring the blood.
I hope Mahershala Ali lives through this thing.
Oh, I bet you he won't. I think probably like everybody
It
you saw
feels
on that
like-
screen is going to die except for maybe ScarJo.
Yeah, it feels like that.
Unless they've got him to a multi-film contract, they might want him for the next one. All right. What was the next film they talked
Ooh,
about?
get excited, everybody. It's Gabby's Dollhouse, the movie.
Wow. This was a buzzkill, I have to say.
Okay, let me just say a couple things here quick. One, because I'm not the target audience, I must confess, when they came out and started announcing how popular this thing was, I'm going to admit right now, I have never heard of it until today.
Me neither.
I have never heard of Gabby's Dollhouse. Cat House? Dollhouse?
Dollhouse.
I've never heard of Gabby's Dollhouse until today. And I thought, okay, now look, we are not the demographic being targeted, but there are other children targeted things that get made. And you look at them and you go, that looks like it's going to be fun for them, right? Like even the Dora the Explorer thing they made, like that's clearly not for us, but that looks like it's going to be fun for them, right? There have been movies like that. This looked, I'll just say, it's just horse shit. It just looked like absolute horse shit. Listen, I don't like, at the risk of sounding like old man yelling at the clouds, like back when
That's the Strange New World season 3 trailer. But we're not talking about that.
no, but when we were growing up, and even like when my younger siblings were growing up and stuff like that, the children's stuff was like, whether it was like we had Captain Kangaroo in Canada, but you guys had Mr. Rogers, we had Sesame Street, that was like teaching kids life lessons and entertaining them, all that kind of stuff too. This looked like, how can we make children today stupider? And yes, I use the word stupider for a reason. How can we make the children of today more dumb and dull and witless? Show them this. Look, again, maybe if I knew Gabby's Dollhouse, and maybe somebody was going to write to me in a very passionate email saying, John, you don't understand. There's actually deeper stuff to it. There is actually a lot of education to it. There is a lot of uplifting stuff for kids. And if that is the case, awesome.
Okay.
But I didn't see any of that in what they showed us today.
You know, I mean, I can also look at something like Gabby's Dollhouse and look for the verisimilitude in it. And I'll tell you where it lost me. Apparently, Gabby's Dollhouse is on wheels, and it is let loose on the streets of San Francisco, careening down through traffic, cars whipping around. Now, I know I am an old man shouting at clouds, but I'm like, that could never happen. It would never survive. I'm like, there's no way this goddamn dollhouse is going to make it down this. And it's tall. So
Yeah.
it would have fallen on its side. And I'm like, why do they have to shovel this shit to our kids? If it had rocket engines and flew into orbit and landed, I would believe it more than it riding down the streets of San Francisco.
You know, by the way, somebody in our live chat, I haven't been keeping my eye on the live chat, but I just noticed somebody in the live chat said, you know, it's not mutually exclusive ideas. You can make things for kids that are also good.
Yes.
Like people seem to think, oh, no, it's fine because it's for kids. Well, no, it's for kids. Therefore, just make it shit and it doesn't matter. You can make stuff that is definitely for kids and yet definitely high quality. Kids deserve that. And I don't know. Look, again, maybe this movie's going to win an Oscar. Maybe this will be the Citizen Kane of Dollhouse movies. I don't know. But just what they showed us looked terrible. Nothing charming about it.
Not
at all.
for me.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, let's move on, shall
I
we?
have one comment.
What's that?
I have worked with DreamWorks on Trolls.
That was one of your very first
And
properties that you were running over there.
There is marketability on Gabby's Dollhouse, the movie. There is productization a lot. You can make so much product from this, whatever this property is that
Yeah, I
I'm
can't
just
deny that.
being introduced to.
But as a father, which I'm not, I would have to want to buy that product for my daughters, which I wouldn't.
Well, yes, your daughter starts
Fair enough.
getting on your skin about it, you'll buy her.
No,
that
not
thing.
my.
Oh, yes,
then
you
I would
will.
leave her in a basket and put it on a river somewhere.
I give it to DreamWorks for trying to capitalize on something that is popular with the children.
It's very
and they can
unique.
sell a lot of product through this property. That part of me, the marketing side, I'm like, there's dollar signs around this
Yeah, it's going to make a shit ton of money.
movie.
Yeah. No,
I don't think so. I don't think it will. Because
Yeah.
the issue
In product,
here is
not in the movie.
They might make a lot of money.
Yes.
If you don't have a child that watches this, you're not going to go
Did it-
see
Oh,
it.
right.
Didn't they specifically point out it's like a female audience too? Did I just mute this? I'm sorry.
No,
No,
it's fine. It's fine.
Like it's very popular with the female, younger
With
female
the-
crowd.
And girls.
These are very popular cigarettes with the
I too
children.
have never heard about it, but just reading about it, it feels like it's like a very a learning sort of show.
It does not look like
Yeah.
a learning show to me
Well,
at all.
Yeah,
It made me
well, the
long for
episode-
Bluey.
Dora the Explorer looked like a learning show, but
Yeah.
this did
But it
not.
comes from the creators of Blue's Clues. I don't
That's
know.
why, yeah.
So,
When is someone going to make
it's got some
Schoolhouse
imagery.
Rock the
But-
movie?
but instead
When are
it's
we
with
going to get
cats.
that?
Yeah.
It's with cats
And
now.
she breaks the wall, like she talks to you while she's
They
I
jump
think
back and forth
there's a
between
little
live
bit.
action world and animated world.
There's
And
something there.
again,
There's
like
something
I don't want to pass too much judgment on this bag.
We're
of
not
shit.
the right
It's not
people.
for us. Yeah.
It's
not for us.
Whatever. Anyway, all right. What was next?
I have actually The Bad Guys 2. Aquafina and Craig Robinson came out for that one.
Yeah. By the way, just one of the most startling things. Like Craig Robinson, of course, most popular from The Office. He's lost a lot of weight.
He looks great.
He
He
looked
looks
good.
really good. He looks really, really good. And Aquafina came out. It's great. Listen, I'm gonna confess something. I didn't love The Bad Guys.
I did.
Wah, wah.
Yeah,
I
I didn't think it was
Yeah.
garbage or anything. Like I didn't think it was. Oh, this
I
is
liked
crap.
it. It was all right.
It was like, yeah, I watched it. It's like, okay, whatever. But it did make a lot of money for what it was. Made a lot of money, and so it's not surprising that they've got the second one. And the whole preview they showed us was basically, it reminded me a little bit of, what's the movie? Well, actually, there's a little bit of Shawshank Redemption in there, where, you know, guy gets out of prison and is having a hard time finding a job because he's a con. So you've got the heroes from the bad guys now trying to get a life. And it was funny when Fox goes in to interview for a bank job and the manager's like, "You robbed us 3 times." He goes, "Oh, is that this bank?" Okay, that was funny.
There was. I liked it. I thought the trailer.
I
Looked
thought
good.
the preview was
What'd you
actually pretty good.
I
was
really love the first movie. As someone with young kids, we watch anime movies. This is one. I love the opening of the first movie. It's a tracking shot. They start in a cafe. They're having this wonderful conversation as thieves, and then all of a sudden they're walking across the street, robbing this bank, and the animation is so unique. I thought the trailer wasn't very good, but
See, I'm the
think-
opposite. I'm not a big fan of the original animated one, but I'm like, this trailer kind of maybe won me over a little
They
bit.
also
So I'm the
kind of
opposite
leaned
you.
into more of like the jokey, like childish humor of the movie, and there was a lot of more serious undertones that kind of goes over the little kids. Which one that I enjoyed, so it doesn't matter. I still think it'll be good. I've got faith.
What did you think about the Bad Guys 2?
I mean, for a sequel, like first look, I think that we saw, I thought it was okay. I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of Aquafina, so I will watch almost anything that
She's
Nora's
involved in.
So,
All
yeah.
right, so that was the Bad Guys 2. All right, what was next up?
Well, they did already. We talked about How to Train Your Dragon,
Right.
and the second one coming out in June 2027.
So it's like 2 years from
Ooh,
now. It's kind of
okay.
crazy.
So the next movie we got was Him,
The new Jordan Peele film.
Wow.
produced by Jordan Peele. We had Marlon Wayans come out and Tyreek Withers, is it? Yeah.
Good looking kid. That dude. Like, Mark
Yes.
Wayans made a joke about how good looking he was, and I'm like,
Yes.
well, he's not that good. And he came up on screen again, and it's like, damn, that's a good looking dude.
Yeah.
So, listen, I think Jordan Peele also directs this film, does he not?
No, he's just producing.
Oh,
it.
he's just producing
Yes.
it. Okay.
It looks like he directed it.
Yeah.
It does. But you know what? I'm going to say this right now that I'm glad he's not directing it. Because I don't think this looks good. And I was about to go, damn, I think this is going to be 3 in a row from Jordan Peele that I don't like. Because
there's that monkey man 2-1, right?
it wasn't called Monkey Man.
Or
It was-
the one with the dead Patel.
Well, he
So
made a Universal
yeah,
release.
but
it
that,
under
he
his
came
deal.
on board with that after the movie was already made. So, but I mean,
yeah.
as a director,
Save
because
it.
he did Get Out, which is brilliant, but then he did Nope, which I was really excited about. And while Lupita Nyong'o should have won an Academy Award for it, I didn't actually think the movie was all that strong. Then came
No, you're talking about Us.
Us. That was Us. Then came Nope, which I liked even less. Like I didn't like Nope. I was excited about it, thought the trailers were great. So I really loved his first one, but I'm kind of over 2 with him on the last 2. And then I'm watching this, and I thought he was the director of it. I'm like, oh man, please don't tell me I'm going to go over 3 in a row with Jordan Peele, because I didn't think it looked all that great. I mean, it definitely looked interesting, but if this was meant to get me excited about the movie, it didn't get me excited about the movie. What did you think about it?
I thought it looked really good. Not like blown away, but I also think that the way that they teed it up, talking about the relationship between the professional athlete, now turned coach, with this young superstar to be, and yet there's something super demented and twisted that's about to happen. You're not sure what it is in Jordan Peele style. That hooked me. Yeah, I thought it was good.
You know, it reminded me of the movie Whiplash.
Yeah.
But if the teacher was actually the devil, or was some, because it looked like there was satanic rituals in this movie. And,
Yeah.
I mean, it went over the top, and you know what I love about satanic rituals? Everything. So I was like, yeah, you bring in, you put football and Satan together. That's a winning combo.
Yeah, so that was unique. It's just, it looks
It's
different.
called the Dallas Cowboys, Rob. Sorry about that to all the Dallas fans out there. Anyway, but did you like the?
I was, you know what? I will say, because as a horror fan, I was intrigued.
Yeah, I like the concept of the film. The concept is.
I mean,
interesting.
if it's just a thing where I can see him go crazy under the, like in Whiplash, he almost does go crazy, and maybe all the horror iconography was his insanity, but it got really weird. But
which I liked.
I did too. I mean, the poster. There's the poster that has the pig skin with the lacing, and the blood's on the lacing. So, look, I want it to be good.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, that was him. By the way, it was funny. He played into a lot when Wayans was on the stage, playing into a lot that he is the youngest of the 10 Wayans brothers. And he was actually pretty funny.
That
on
was
stage.
really funny.
He was really funny. All right, so what was next?
Next was Nobody 2 with Bob Odenkirk.
Okay, look. Nobody, if I remember right about the timing, because my timing is always off, but the timing of it was right coming out of the pandemic that the first Nobody came out. And appropriately titled because nobody really went to go see it, which is unfortunate because the movie is banger. If you haven't seen the original Nobody with Bob Odenkirk, it's real fun. And it's made by kind of the same team, or a lot of the same team that was behind John Wick, which is why it kind of feels like a John Wick movie. Like you could easily merge these two worlds, but whatever. I never thought they would have made a sequel because the first one didn't make much money. Super glad that they are. And this one, they showed a big chunk of it, way more violent, way more action. Bob Odenkirk's taking shit limit has reduced greatly because, like, they did this great scene that they show us where, like, some security guy gives his son a hard time. So Bob Odenkirk's, as they're walking the family of the car, goes, "Oh, wait a minute, I just forgot my wallet." And he goes back into the park and just beats the shit out of all of them.
You know what I loved? They go on vacation.
Yeah.
And they played Holiday Roads. It might not be in the movie, but Holiday Roads from Vacation, you know, the Chevy Chase Vacation was in the trailer. And I was delighted by that. I just thought that was really funny.
Yeah, I thought it looked great. Like, what did you think about that?
Well, here's the thing. When you go on vacation, you're already stressed out, right? And then you amplify that by going on vacation with your wife and kids. And then you're Bob Odenkirk in this role in Nobody 2, where you're on a vacation and then everything is heightened like 10,000 times more. So there's a lot of ass kicking. I saw Colin Hanks in the trailer too, which was, was really cool.
That's true.
And yeah, I'm excited for it.
All right, so that was Nobody 2. I think it looks great. I love the original. I cannot wait for this to come out. And who doesn't love Bob Odenkirk? So this is a big winner for me. All right, what was next?
Okay, so then it moves to the focus features part
Right,
of
which
it.
is like kind of the
The indie
boutique,
division.
the
Yeah.
indie boutique
Yes.
brand of Universal.
So they talk about a few movies. They start with the Phoenician Scheme.
Which is Wes Anderson's new movie.
Yes.
Oh yes.
Has Tom? I noticed
Okay.
Tom Hanks was in the trailer a little bit, but Benicio del Toro is really featured in it.
Yeah. Well, as in all Wes Anderson movies, there's a huge cast. Cast.
Huge.
Okay. Want me to be really honest?
I think you and I are on the same page
Okay.
with this one.
Do you remember, like last year, once video generated AI started becoming a thing, a bunch of people cranked out fake Wes Anderson trailers.
Yeah.
Did you see any of those?
Yeah.
That's what this trailer looked like. It looked like AI just generated out the most generic, whatever. When I say generic, I mean by in terms of Wes Anderson's sandbox. This didn't look appealing at all, and I love so many of his films.
I do too.
This was not a great trailer. I don't think, but I don't know. What did you think about it?
You know, I've been a Wes Anderson fan all the way back to Bottle Rocket. I love Rushmore, but now he dived into this Wes Anderson thing
Yeah.
that he's been doing, and this was the most Wes Anderson thing of all of Wes
He
Anderson
started
things.
losing me a lot with Asteroid City.
Yeah, that it's the same
Like,
thing.
that's
That
where he
looks,
started to fall
yeah,
into
and
that.
I mean, I dearly adore the Grand Budapest Hotel, and I'm
Oh,
like,
I love that movie.
and I'm looking at this going, why? Like, what is the point of this? And it looked like Wes Anderson, like you said, it looked like a Saturday Night Live digital video. Now, that said, I mean, I also like, you know, his Jacques Cousteau movie with Bill Murray. I mean, that's one of my favorite of his.
Life Aquatic.
Life Aquatic is one of my favorite, with the guy coming out, the Jamaican guy singing the Bowie songs. I love that movie.
What's the recent one? I hope I'm thinking of the one he did about the newspaper.
Oh yeah,
What's the name?
French the
French
Dispatch.
French Dispatch.
Yeah, which is another one that I didn't dislike.
But he's been
yeah.
after the Grand Budapest Hotel. I feel he's drifted into Wes Anderson purgatory,
Yeah.
and I feel like I was being tortured watching this trailer.
That's a good way to describe it. I did not feel tortured. The Grand Budapest Hotel is in my top 5 favorite movies of all time. I love it. This did nothing to raise or lower. I want to say I feel like this is the kind of movie where it would be difficult to cut together a trailer, because for me, the best qualities of a Wes Anderson film is how his quirky setups are stitched together through the editing and through the flow.
Yeah.
And that's hard to capture in a trailer.
Yeah.
Extra hard for his type
That's
of film.
true.
Especially
So
when you only have the same shots to cut to.
exactly the way that the cinematography plays. So not a great trailer, but I'm still very excited for the movie.
Yeah, I mean, I will watch any Wes Anderson movie.
Oh yeah, definitely gonna watch it. I'm saying the trailer. It's becoming a meme of itself.
Right, exactly.
And if this isn't good, that's not going to be good for him, because he's kind of on a miss streak, right? He hasn't had when's the last great Wes Anderson film? Grand Budapest Hotel.
I think
after
that was the greatest.
that was
last one.
12 years ago.
Anyway, all right. So what was the name of that one again? I keep forgetting the name of it.
The Phoenician Scheme.
Also not a strong title, but all right. What was next?
Moving on to another not strong title, because I don't understand it, is Begonia. I think Emma Stone was in that trailer.
Oh, this is the one with I'm going to mispronounce his name. Lithovinus of
Lagos Lanthimos.
who made the brilliant Poor Things.
Poor
That
Things.
was not even close.
I think I did a pretty good job.
And the lobster.
Yeah, I think I got pretty close.
Okay.
Here we go. Poor Things that he did with Emma Stone was absolutely amazing. I loved that movie. Now then, he and Emma Stone did the follow-up called I can't remember the name. What was the name of the second one? Come on, I defy you. Does anybody remember the name of it?
No.
Your number one source for all movie pronunciations right here.
Kinds of Kindness.
There you go.
Right. That's the last one.
One of our viewers actually sent that in. Bond presents Kinds of Kindness, which was terrible. It is such a navel-gazing movie. It just like what happened to this fresh spark and everything that he brought to Poor Things. So this is his next film. I feel this guy is cracking out these films like Dwayne The Rock Johnson. But, and maybe that's good, maybe that's bad. And this guy, again, really weird title. Bourgeoisie. What's it called?
Begonia.
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 Yeah.
I knew a girl in Spain named Begonia.
Begonia.
So that's why.
So Begonia, and
I can't
I-
talk about her.
I gotta tell you, it felt more Kinds of Kindness than it felt Poor Things.
Yeah. Well,
But it looks
but it
like
was
it has potential.
it was just like a teaser.
Yeah, they
It was a
didn't
little
show us
taste.
much.
I was intrigued. Emma Stone shaving her head or whatever.
It does look like because look, even after 3 trailers, I had no idea what Kind of Kindness was. This at least gives you an idea about what the story is, and
Yeah.
it is interesting. So I'm hoping that this one will be better than Kinds of Kindness. But yeah, but Lithimos, I'm sure
Lagos.
Lagos. Yes,
Lathimos.
I'm sure he's going to do
That's
good.
exactly it. Just keep saying it like that. You'll be fine.
Okay, so that was Begonia,
Bologna.
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 And for people,
Symphonia.
First sequel.
he's gonna go with like a trilogy of Begonia.
Yorgos. Okay, what was next?
The next one I'm excited about, Downton Abbey, the grand finale.
Oh boy.
Listen, I tell
Hey.
you what,
Hey, September
Sorry, I'm
12th.
just kidding.
I gotta tell you, when
love
Anne
the show.
and Corey, they started making events out of episodes of watching Downton Abbey, they would literally break out crumpets and tea and put on their hats and stuff like this. And it wasn't really for me, and that was fine.
Did you really?
Oh yeah, I got
Swear.
pictures.
It's-
Like, I
it's
love
serious.
they'd have tea.
Serious
Come on,
shit.
man. People love Downton
Come
Abbey.
on.
And it started their obsession with the royal family and wanting to see Queen Elizabeth. And anyway, so but I did go to see the movies with Anne, and I gotta say they
They're
were
wonderful.
solid, good movies.
Yes.
Like I enjoyed the films, and of course Maggie Smith's character dies in the
Yes.
last one.
Yes.
And then of course she herself died not too long after that,
Mhm.
and this is being billed as the farewell to
It's called the
Downton Abbey.
grand finale.
The grand
For
finale.
a reason, yeah.
And
Takes place in 1930.
yeah, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to 1930.
It's interesting because the last film we saw, they started slowly introducing some technology during that time, which you thought, okay, this is really getting them out of that era of back in the day, all the things that they had to deal with during that time. And I think in this trailer, you really see the progression of the time period.
You got those flapper haircuts, like, ooh, scandalous.
Yeah.
Short hair.
And their life of that they knew it, of all the things that make Downton Abbey really special. I think they have to say goodbye to.
Yeah, the world
Yeah.
is changing
The
and
world
everything.
is changing
and
around
you
them.
really felt it.
I don't
Yeah.
know anything about Downton Abbey, but I thought the trailer was good, and it made me want to like jump in and watch the entire show.
It's wonderful.
Well,
I could see
when someone's touching the building, the actual house, and they take their
yeah,
hand
that was
off and sort of,
Paddington's stepdad.
oh well,
Yeah.
Whatever
Lord
this summer-
Grantham.
Yeah, but what's his
I
name?
got
What's the
sad
actor's name
about
again?
that.
The actor who plays yeah,
I don't-
I want to say
Please.
Burn. It's
Yo,
uh,
no, don't do that.
no, it's not hard to pronounce. I'm just freezing on the name of the actor. He was just in Paddington, so I was just saying his name
Yes.
recently, and now I'm freezing on it. Hugh Bonneville. I knew it was
Yes.
Bonneville something. Hugh Bonneville, who's really a delightful actor, actually.
Yes.
And I do have to admit, like after I saw one or two of the movies with Anne, I did watch a few episodes of Downton. It's one of those shows that could dangerously, if you started watching one at Saturday at noon, you'll look up.
Oh,
and
yeah,
it's
I don't doubt
9 or 10 o'clock at night. And it's like, oh my god, I just blew
It's a
through like
phenomenon.
9 episodes.
Did they ever discover the other W that should be there? Downtown.
Yeah, hey, look, I admit, for the first 3 years that show was on, I
Downtown
thought it was
Abbey.
called
I
Downtown
can't get
Abbey.
past it. That's why I don't watch it. I can't get past the downtown.
You don't watch it because the W's not there.
I some of my most favorite people have watched Downton till the end, and I'm definitely gonna be there. My best friend Kat and my mother-in-law, they freaking loved Downton Abbey, so I'm
By
excited
the way,
for the finale.
one of our viewers, Sam Fisher, wrote in. It is 18 years since the first season, which is set
Wow.
in 1912. The first season is set in 1912, and now it's like supposed to be 18 years later.
So incredible.
All right, what was the next movie?
Okay, the next one was we go on to the scary movies. So Blumhouse comes out.
Jason. Okay, first of all, Jason Blum comes out in a Freddy Fazbear. Is that
Yeah,
his name?
yeah.
Freddy Fazbear, full Freddy Fazbear costume, which was pretty fun. and pretty fun.
Costume.
That was a great costume. Although he could barely move in it, it was kind of funny.
Step Brothers would say that would be movie quality.
That's a
Yes.
movie quality costume.
Absolutely.
Great.
So, and the first film they talked about was Five Nights at Freddy's 2.
Yes, but also he did mention like as opposed to other studios who have other movies coming out right now or in this time period, he did make mention of Drop, which I appreciate because he's like, Drop is coming out. Just want you guys to know, just as a
It's coming out this
reminder.
Like
week, I
next
think.
week
Yeah.
or this
Yeah.
week, next week.
Some of the other studios maybe didn't do as good of a job. So
But by the way, I am very excited about Drop. They have done a great job on that marketing
Yeah.
campaign, and I didn't even realize until he said that today that it was a Blumhouse movie. So good for them. I'm excited about seeing that.
but yes, Five Nights at
At
Freddy's
Freddy's 2.
2 is
And
what we
so
saw.
it started off with an apology because he started off now, look, because you remember, he's talking to thousands of theater owners.
Yeah.
It's like, I understand a lot of you guys weren't too happy with the first one because we also debuted it on Peacock at the same time it was in theaters. And it's like, yeah, I know you weren't too happy. He goes, but I'm here to tell you Five Nights at Freddy's 2 opens on whatever the date was,
December.
exclusively in movie
What did I have?
theaters.
And the
December,
crowd
yeah.
really liked that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
they
crowd
did.
really liked that. But again, it's just kind of another sign of the look, the industry, and we've been hearing this from a bunch of the studios. Coming out of the pandemic and everything, they decided to try a few different things. But slowly, it sounds like all the studios have been like, yeah, that didn't work. That didn't work for us. That probably cost us a lot of money. Let's go back to this. And Jason Blum was like, yeah, we are recommitting our commitment to the theatrical experience. This is going to be exclusively in theaters. And they want, anyway, so they talked about that. They showed us a little sizzle for Five Nights 2. We were the first audience to see this new sizzle for Five Nights 2. And yeah, I mean, what do you want? It's Five Nights at Freddy's. It's the animatronic animals are killing a bunch of people. So it is what it is, but it looks like it could be fun.
They took it outside though. They took it outside. You need that small confined space,
But
right?
how often can you do that?
Yeah, but man, that totally lost me. I
They
said,
just
this
wanted to
doesn't-
explore their surroundings,
Yeah,
right?
this sizzle right here didn't do it for me. I hope I have as much fun as I did with the first one. That's all I can ask.
What do you think about the Five Nights sizzle?
I'm neither more or less enthusiastic about this one. So it looked a lot of the same, but
Right.
that could be good if you enjoyed the first movie.
Because I didn't think the first one was great. I thought
No.
it was okay.
Yeah.
I thought it was okay, but I didn't think it was great.
Well, he talked about it being PG-13.
Yeah, that's what the first one
That's
was.
my problem.
Yeah, it was odd.
Eggsy is still.
I
in
stopped
this, right?
watching PG-13
What's his
horror
name?
movies
Eggsy,
when
the
I
guy
was
who plays
8.
Eggsy?
No, that is not Eggsy. That you're
Or from the Kingsman.
nope. That is nope.
That's not. Oh, that's
Nope.
the other guy.
This is the dude from Hunger Games.
Oh, right. Sorry.
Yeah, no.
Forgive me. Forgive me.
You're thinking of the guy from Tetris.
We're talking about PETA.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is
PETA.
yeah,
Josh Hudson.
yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Who of course starred in the first one as well. So there's that one of those coming. All right. So what was the next one they talked about after
Ooh,
that?
something I'm excited about, Black Phone 2, which comes out in October.
Okay, first of all, I didn't know much about the first Black Phone. It's just that they were screening it for us at CinemaCon, and Rob and myself and Aaron Cummings went in to sit down and watch Black Phone, and my arm had the shit beaten out of it because every scary freaking thing in it, Aaron would wail with her elbows and fists and like
And she wailed a lot.
she wailed a lot, and that's a compliment to the movie. I really loved Black Phone. I was so pleasantly surprised by it. I had such a good time with it, and the kid in it is now our Hiccup in How to Train Your Dragon. So I just thought it was great. And then they announced they were doing a second one, and they have the girl from the first one come out and say, now you might be wondering, how do we have Ethan Hawke in this one? Didn't he die in the first film? Which he does. She goes, well, in Blumhouse, death is never the end. And sure enough, he's in this. And it looks like it goes like the first, I would say, tell me if you agree with this. I would say that the first Black Phone was like 80% murder thriller, 20% supernatural horror.
Yeah.
It feels like this one is like 60% supernatural horror and 40% maybe murder thriller. I don't know. What do you think
totally
about what they
agree.
told us?
I love the trailer.
I thought it was great.
I thought
yeah.
the trailer was great, and it leaned into the Well, I mean, the trailer lead. I don't know if the movie will, but the trailer did, and I loved it. I thought it was great. I thought the trailer was great.
What did you think about it?
Totally.
Did you see the first one?
I did. I remember you guys told me that I needed to watch it after that. And so I loved it. It was very unique. And I felt exactly the same way. This one feels like it leans more into the horror, which I
The supernatural stuff.
Yes. Like, and it looks very good. It upped my excitement.
I just love that they brought the payphone back for this one. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Part of it, I'm not gonna lie, part of it felt like we were watching a music video of the black phone.
Yeah.
They kept going back to that shot in the phone booth. I really like the point of the kids going missing one after another in the first one. That brought the tension up to me, trying to figure out what happened to them. I hope they could do something where I'm still interested in this, and he's just not killing people. It doesn't become another Freddy or Jason that just goes around and kills. I want there to be some sort of mystery involved still, you know,
Well,
but who knows?
I just don't know what mystery you can have because they solved the mystery.
Right.
Yeah.
Right? They
But some
found
sort
the
of-
guy out. They solved the mystery.
But-
Well, and it's interesting because when they were teeing it up, Jason was talking about how the director, Sam Raimi, doesn't do sequels, but he really had
Scott
Yeah.
Derrickson.
Sorry, Scott Derrickson.
Scott Derrickson, who
Something-
also did the original Doctor Strange.
That's right.
He
That's
did the
right.
first Doctor Strange.
But he had an idea and he was really excited about it, and he felt like he wasn't done with these characters yet. So maybe that means that we
Well,
got
By
something
the way,
special.
Marcus Wine, the live chat saying Black Phone 2 family plan, 4 lines for $100. that's your thing of the, anyway. It was pretty intense. The stuff they showed us for Black Phone 2. It looked really scary. It does look like it. Like we said, it looks like a different film than the first Black Phone, which again was like 80%
They were in the snow.
murder
Right?
thriller.
They were in the
Yeah,
snow
they're
a
out
bunch of
somewhere north, stuff like that. But this one looks more like a supernatural horror film.
And may I add, it's always good to see Ethan Hawke in anything.
Oh yeah, it's
Yeah.
always good to see Handsome Hawk. All right, what's next?
The next one, again, excited about Megan 2.0.
What a hilarious presentation.
Okay.
Golly, God.
I was like a lot of people. I was very pleasantly surprised by Megan, the first Megan. It was more fun than I thought it would be, and I had a pretty good time with it. What they're doing with Megan 2, they are changing directions a bit. They're turning this into an action franchise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, what they showed us, it was action.
It's the Alien 2 of the Megan thing.
Yes, it is the Terminator 2
Yes.
of the Megan.
Well, Aliens is because it's
Right,
more
that's-
Megans.
That's what I meant.
It's
Yeah.
more Megans.
First Terminator. I mean, look, and now they've grown Megan up. They're giving her a bigger body. Now they showed us a bunch of stuff for it, and the way this one starts is they've captured the AI programming of Megan, but they've put it in this little harmless, almost like Amazon looking,
Teletubby.
Yeah, it's
like
so cute.
Amazon bot,
Yeah,
right?
you can find those on
And it's like saying, "Let me out of this body," and like, no, because But now here's the storyline. Somebody developed another killer AI that's more dangerous than Megan, and to stop it, back to the Terminator comparison, they have to now go to Megan to get her to help them stop the even worse AI.
So good.
But they want to give her upgrades.
And
So-
there's 30 of her.
well, there was 30 dancing ones. I don't know if
No,
they're
they
the
said
movie.
in the movie
Did
there's
they
30
say in
of
the
her.
movie
Yeah,
there's going to be 30 of them?
that's why they brought the 30 out to dance.
Right, so they brought out
Which was
30
hilarious.
dancers dressed as Megan on
30
stage to do this dance routine.
30 of the good Megan or the bad Megan? Did we catch any of that?
It's all the same Megan.
Oh, okay. Because there's the new one that they
That's
found the documents.
worst.
Right.
What's the name of the new one? It's not Megan.
Oh, yeah, it's not Megan.
Amelia.
Amelia. There you go. Sorry. Thank you for clarifying.
So then, like the end of the presentation, like getting close to the end of all the footage they were showing us, you got this big confrontation between Megan and Amelia, like fighting it out and all this kind of stuff. And Megan, I think, is still bad. I think Megan is still bad. She's just made a deal or something like
Yeah,
that.
it's like Rocky and Apollo Creed. This movie just brought out every fight thing that I've ever like. I don't want to fight him. I'm done. And then they bring her back because they need her.
Yeah, listen,
I love it.
there ain't gonna be any Oscars in the future for this movie whatsoever. But I'd be lying to you if I didn't say they understand what this franchise is, and they lean into it, and it does look like it's going to be fun.
Over or under 40%, they have a dance off.
Under.
Yeah.
That they do that weird dance towards each other before they start fighting when
Nah,
they
I
first
don't
meet.
think
I don't know.
Oh man.
There will be another dance number for sure, because that's a Megan thing now. So yeah,
Whenever
please
she does
no,
that.
please stop doing that.
Yeah,
Please stop
whenever
doing
she
that.
does like that.
So, but again, it looks like it's going to be a lot more action, a lot more fights, a lot more kills, all that kind of stuff. So they're leaning into that a lot. So I liked what I saw. I liked what I saw. All right, what was next?
Okay,
Oh, I
so
know what was next.
yes, they brought out James Wan.
With Jason Blum.
Yeah. And the next one doesn't come out till January 2026. It's called Soulmates.
All right. James Wan comes out and joins Jason Blum and said, what if we had another female robot? This one was for grown-ups and you can have a relationship with it. And I'm instantly thinking, didn't we already see this movie? Wasn't it called Companion?
And it was great.
Yeah.
And Companion is great. This is Companion. Only it's a different thing. Like even the whole trailer, like it was more than a trailer, but the whole thing starts with this guy orders a relationship bot and delivery guys bring it in this big sci-fi looking case, just like in Companion. Turns her on, programs her just like in Companion. Now, it deviates from Companion significantly in that in Companion, the human beings were the problem.
Yes.
In this, she's a psycho killer robot who, as soon as she starts to feel jealous, oh, I gotta go kill that thing that's making me jealous of this person. And it goes really extreme. Now, look, lest anybody is tempted to call it a Companion ripoff, this movie was probably long done production, long before Companion ever came out in theaters. But it is strikingly similar in a lot of ways, but very different in others too. I'm gonna say this: after I got past that whole thing about this looks a lot like Companion, once I got past that, this is another one that looks pretty fun to me. It looks way more violent than Megan.
Super violent.
Very, very violent. There's going to be a lot, even just in the stuff they showed us, there were some very brutal kills. And I got to admit, I'm kind of excited about seeing it.
There's another movie. There's a Luke Cage, Matt, who played Luke Cage, in
Mike Coulter.
Mike Coulter, my man crush, Mike Coulter. There's the black version of Soulmate coming out as well.
Oh,
and Mike Coulter stars in it that there's a trailer for that's basically a variation on a theme. So you know what? The bummer of this means that I just am never going to try out a sex bot. I feel bad about that.
Okay, first of all,
because Mike Coulter's girlfriend or whatever she goes, "Did you try her out?" And he's like, "Yeah, she wore me out," and she's okay with it.
Yeah, but let's be honest with each other. You are absolutely going to try a sex bot as soon as one becomes.
Well, not if they're all going to go psycho bizarre on me.
I'm looking forward to it.
It depends if they'll do things to me that real girls won't.
Bro.
That's really what comes right
The
down.
collision course with Megan and Soulmate is coming.
Yeah, now
I
they
can't
got to
wait.
cross it over.
They have to.
You will never convince me that in the back of their minds, Jason Blum and Aquaman director boy James Wan have not talked about. Yeah. And the really cool thing is, at some point, if we want to, we could cross these over. I mean, I'm sure they're thinking about that. The Avengers of killer female robots.
But you know what, though? It's so from the male gaze. Let me just get a little topical and progressive. These are such male gaze movies. What's the reverse? Where's the female looking for the male sex bot? Or where's the lesbian?
Oh, it's just called dildo.
Okay, you know what?
0.0.
No. But I'm saying it's either or, and it's weird that it's either the girl goes crazy and chases the guy, or the guy's a dickhead, and the girl sex bot wants her revenge. And she's actually nice.
Soulmate won't cover any of it.
Soulmate's not going to cover anything.
And I want to know if, do grandmothers get sex bots?
Oh, God.
Well, if you're a grandfather.
And what was up next, Ann?
What was the next movie after Soulmate?
You got to change it up. I'm already bored of this genre of movie.
Sex
All right,
bot.
so we get out of that phase of the presentation. We go into a look at 2026. They make mention of April 2026. We have the new Super Mario Brothers movie.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but they didn't show us anything.
Yeah.
Which is weird because I thought they would, because I'm pretty sure it comes out before CinemaCon next year. So I was kind of thinking they would have showed us some Super Mario stuff, because with the movie being a year away, they've got a lot done on it already. They should have a lot done. So I was kind of surprised they didn't show us other than a title screen.
But they
Right,
might
and
not
it
have
was the
enough
same.
stuff to put together a trailer, like a whole scene. They might have stuff rendered, but not.
Because I mean, if the stuff they showed us for Spider-Verse, if you can show a Spider-Verse,
Yeah, that's true.
and
No, that's
like
true.
that stuff conceptually and everything too, they could have done something there, but they made the decision not
That
to
was
do
the same logo as the first movie, right? Because there was no 2 in there, was there?
Oh, you
I
might
don't
be right.
remember.
It might have not even been a new logo.
So it's just to get people excited, start talking about
Yeah.
it.
So it's coming. First one made $1.3 billion. Yay! Okay, yeah, that was it. All right.
So they also make mention of in July Minions, a new Minions.
The third
Yeah.
Minions
coming out.
movie, but again, didn't show anything.
Another-
Just saying we got a third Minions film coming.
And then
logo.
in Christmas we will have Shrek 5.
Yeah, and again, just a logo. Didn't show anything like that. So they just breezed over that.
Also mentioning in summer 2026, there's a Steven Spielberg movie coming out.
Yeah, which none of us
No
know what it
titles.
is yet. We all speculate it's going to be sci-fi,
Yeah.
but we don't know yet. And then they went from talking about that into talking about the upcoming Christopher Nolan film,
Mhm.
The Odyssey. But again, showed us nothing, just mentioned it,
Yeah.
and then moved on. I'm sure next CinemaCon we're going to get a whole serving of Odyssey. Because they're thinking, Universal is very big on thinking this Odyssey, is going to become the next all-time classic Hollywood movie. They really seem to believe that
Yeah.
about this film. They think this is going to become the next big classic that we're still talking about 20
Could
years
happen.
from now. Absolutely could happen. All right. But again, showed us nothing. All right, what was next?
So Universal ends their presentation with, for a third time, Wicked. This time Wicked
Yep,
for Good.
third year in a row. Listen, and the studio or the theater owners love this movie. It got people coming back to theaters and singing along, and they showed off how a lot of the movie theaters, did activations in their theaters and did decorations in their theaters and all that kind of stuff. And for the third year in a row, Arrivo and Ariana Blonde.
That's pretty good.
Ariana Blonde. Ariana
know what
Grande.
that actually works. That's completely fine in this context.
They come out again, and John M. Chu comes out, and then they show us we're the first audience ever to get our first look at some stuff out of Wicked 2 or Wicked for Good. And listen, again, we've been saying this all year. I am not the target demo for this movie. It's not one that I would normally necessarily gravitate towards, but I loved Wicked. And I'm really excited. I loved what I saw today.
That trailer promo reel, it was awesome.
Yeah, it was really
That
good.
last shot of Elphaba flying with the monkeys
monkeys.
behind her, that was awesome.
May I add, John M. Chu is just so infectious. His personality, I'm starting to like him as a director. I don't know nothing about Wicked, but when I saw Dorothy, especially the lion,
That one
Yeah,
shot from
yeah.
up above where you see the yellow brick road and you just see him go by the
because
corner.
it's an actual lion this time. It's not a guy in a lion suit. It's like that.
That was dope, man.
I really like. I don't know what's gonna happen, but just seeing that, I was like, I'm in. I'm so in. Don't show me anymore. Let's go. Let's release this tomorrow.
I'll also say that pretty much every presentation that comes out when it's an actor or the director, they all kind of say the same thing, like our movie's meant to be seen on the big
biggest
screen.
screen.
And they all and the crowd always responds to that. But when the Wicked panel said it, they meant it, and the crowd really felt it.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't. You could feel the energy.
I'll tell you right now, the second one will be $1 billion film.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I have no doubt the second one will be $1 billion film. I don't think like a $1.8 billion.
No,
but it'll be $1 billion film. So, and that always gets the theater owners very
Because
excited.
it turns especially like little girls who'd never seen Wicked or they were too young,
Yeah,
will have a little bit of time to watch it at home with their moms.
yeah, and everybody's going to be coming back and all that kind of stuff. So,
What's crazy about this movie? It feels like they're not stopping the train. Wicked just came out, and it's the train's going to keep going until this one comes out. I mean, the Oscars, their performance at the beginning of the Oscars.
the stuff at the Oscars was great.
It just made me go back and watch the first part of Wicked or the last part of Wicked after I saw this train is not going to stop until this movie's finished. Like,
No.
Yeah.
The one thing I'll say that was missing for me is Jonathan Bailey. He wasn't present for the presentation because he's doing something on Broadway, which
Right.
is incredible. He's the love interest.
Right. Okay. Sorry.
But I think, no.
The Prince Charming.
Yes, but I think
Correct.
he plays such a big part in the second act or whatever this is, third act or whatever, wherever they cut it. He plays such a big part in that that just his presence missing also was felt by me. And then I think in the footage they showed also really not seeing him that much. He was in a few
I
parts.
saw one. I saw
Yeah.
one time.
You can tell he's kind of like preparing for battle and he's gonna have to choose sides and that sort of thing. But I think he's like the third character that I think was missing in the
Yeah, well,
trailer.
he's doing that Broadway show with Hugh Jackman and Jake Gyllenhaal right now.
Denzel Washington.
Denzel
Yeah.
Washington. sorry.
Othello.
So yeah, Denzel Washington and Jake Gyllenhaal,
Yes.
not Hugh Jackman and Jake Gyllenhaal.
Yes.
So yeah, he wasn't there for that. But again, third year in a row they brought Wicked here, and third year in a row that everybody went crazy for it.
Oh, and
so.
this one's one of those, like last year they had this whole presentation where you got these like light up roses and tulips or whatever
That's
and
right,
that sort of
yeah.
thing. They did this whole grand thing because the movie hadn't come out yet. This year they were like they could have come out in like pajamas and not said anything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they've been fine. Yeah.
The first part of the movie did so well, like they didn't even have to come back for the second part, and they did, which was amazing.
Probably the loudest crowd roar for anything we've seen so far. I think so.
And it was cool that Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo really leaned into, like you said, all the activations, and they actually showed pictures of
Yeah.
all the different theaters, and people had dressed. It was like Halloween, but for Wicked only,
yeah.
Yeah.
which is cool.
So yes. Oh, that was Wicked. I don't know why I did that. Ariana Blonde, ladies and gentlemen. That's gonna be my new stage name, Ariana Blonde.
Blonde.
All right, so that was the Universal panel. Again, a very good panel, a very good presentation, I should say, especially with the orchestra
Oh,
on
it's incredible.
stage, man. That made it such a fun time. I really loved it, and a lot of stuff that has gotten me excited, some stuff I'm not so excited about, but great presentation as always. Full marks to Universal. All right. After that, we had about an hour and a half, and then we were heading back to the theater.
There was the
Oh,
Omnia party that you guys went to that they
Yeah.
they wouldn't let me cut in line. I went to the bathroom. They wouldn't let me cut in line. I had to go to the. I was like, I'm not going to do this.
There's always parties.
I know.
Everything.
there, man.
So many parties. Last night,
I went and
was pretty
I
good.
talked to Scott Mantz about Star Trek. It was great.
Wow.
Of course you did. So then tonight was a panel I almost skipped. I thought about skipping Amazon MGM because I kind of thought to myself, I don't know that they're going to have a lot to talk about yet with this being their first year.
Ooh, doggy.
I decided to go, and boy, am I glad I did, because this was the first time ever that Amazon MGM has presented at CinemaCon. And boy, did they pull out all the big guns. They pulled out all the big guns.
They were on the hunt tonight, baby.
Just naming a couple of names. During the presentation, the people they brought out on stage was Ryan Gosling, Andrew Garfield, Chris Hemsworth, Chris Pratt, who am I missing?
Ben Affleck,
I think I already mentioned John Bernthal,
John Bernthal.
Bernthal.
Halle Berry,
Oh, yeah.
just Vivica A. Fox.
Oh yeah.
I mean, they just were marching out all like these big A-list, big talent names on stage.
And all they needed was to threaten that they'll take away their Prime membership.
Yeah,
That's why they all came.
they brought them all out, and it was great. But it was the movies that they were talking about. They came out, reiterated, we have made a commitment, Amazon said, to 15 theatrical films a year.
Full on and international releases.
With full international releases by 2027. They said, and we're almost there already because in 2026 we're going to have 14. And then by 2027, 15 a year. And the one thing that Rob had kept saying all week that he hopes Amazon talks about is he's wondering if they'll talk about Project Hail Mary.
Which comes out in March of 2026.
Right.
So I didn't know.
Didn't know if they were going to talk about Project Hail Mary, directed by Lord and Miller, and it's based on Andrew Weir.
Andy Weir's book.
The
His
guy
third
who wrote
novel.
The Marshal, the guy who wrote The Martian, wrote this and stars good Canadian kid Ryan Gosling. They start the whole presentation with it.
An extended trailer.
Like, they didn't even, like, no waiting, just, oh, by the way, so thank you for having us here. We're excited about this being our first time here. And by the way, look at this. And they showed us like
Dude.
6, 7, 8 minutes
Yeah.
of this brief for And listen, I've known nothing about Project Hail Mary, except that Rob keeps saying it's awesome, it's awesome, it's awesome. And after watching this preview, all of you are going to be dying to see this movie. It definitely has the DNA of The Martian in it. You could definitely feel that DNA in there. But this looks so good. I'm like, now I get what Rob has kind of been raving about with this. But anyway, as the guy who was actually looking forward to this, what did you think about what we saw from
Dude, I almost wet my pants. I swear to God. First of all, you know, when you see, I read the book, and I've talked about it many times on my show and this show. I read the book in one sitting. I got it from Amazon. I'd heard it was good, opened it up. I read it in one sitting. And I was like, God, they should make this into a movie because it was doable. And when I saw what they showed us, Lord and Miller have made the book. You know how sometimes adaptations are lost in the trees? They nailed it all. And what's really interesting is that trailer was only the first part of the book.
That's what I told you, John. I told you.
It was only the first part of the book. And I was sitting there watching this trailer going, are they not going to reveal? I mean, if you read the book, you know, but are they not going to reveal that there's actually...
Is it Rocky?
Yeah. And they did. Because I was like, it would be baller if they didn't, because everybody was already won over.
You tell them what you leaned in and told us immediately after.
I said that Project... sorry.
So excited.
Project Hail Mary is going to win Best Picture at the 2027 Academy Awards. It's going to win Best Picture. Because knowing what they've already done and seeing the design work and how they've cast it,
it'll beat the Odyssey?
It's going to be, you know why it's going to beat the Odyssey? It's going to beat the Odyssey because the Odyssey will be great and they'll go head to head. But this movie is going to do what E.T. didn't at the 1983 Academy Awards. Gandhi won. E.T. didn't. Project Hail Mary is going to win. It's going to be the Best Picture. And when I was watching that trailer, I was more convinced than ever. I'm like, Lord Miller fucking nailed it. And Amazon knows. Amazon knows.
They've got a winner.
They know. Because the book is not a hard thing to adapt. It's very straightforward. I have to say something. There's a lead actress that you saw in the trailer. There's a main character that's on Earth the whole time. They keep going back and forth to her. I've never seen her before. I don't know who that is. She was perfectly cast. Perfectly
It's like
cast.
this movie's version of Jeff Daniels from The Martian.
Yeah, kind of in a way. But I mean, the whole movie looks perfect. And when you see the alien ship design, dude, I
fell in love with. I didn't even know that they started shooting. I'll be honest with you. I didn't even know
they
that
started shooting last July.
Right. And I wasn't even aware of that. And so I thought, how much could they actually have to show us? And it looks like they have a completed movie. I mean, that's what it looks like, right? I was blown away by
there is, I mean, the alien creatures, the movie will live and die based on
Rocky.
He's the most of all the aliens in any science fiction movie ever. He's probably the most present ever in terms of being a companion friend, even more than E.T. They better get it right.
I was reading this book and I didn't get to the alien part, and the only reason why I stopped is because I stopped having to go out to Burbank where you guys lived.
Yeah.
It was I was hooked on this author quickly shot up to be one of my favorite authors. I bought every single book he has. I started Artemis, went on to Project Hail Mary because Artemis kind of got slow in the middle, the moon base, whatever. And then also because Project Hail Mary got picked up. I was like, I got to start reading this one. I'm going to go dig it up, and I don't want to finish.
Project Hail Mary is going to go down. It's going to be one of the top 10 science fiction movies ever made.
I love that.
Especially if they don't change it.
You are setting yourself up for disappointment.
I know, I always do this. I'm telling you, though.
I'm only on board with Rob because The Martian is my favorite movie of all time, and it's from the same author. I can believe it's possible. You're reaching really high for me, too, right now. But you know what? I'll trust you. It could take place in the same universe. Right. I love Ryan Gosling in this. Just the way this character right there.
The Weirverse.
Yeah. He's just like, I'm not that guy. It's just like, I love that.
One of my favorite lines in the whole presentation was when they said, we need to send you. And he's like, I'm the not an astronaut.
and
that was like a great line.
That Oh my God, it just looks incredible. I don't want to say anything else. I love the way they also explained the title of the book. You know, like, what do you Americans call it? A Hail Mary.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because that's what it's all about. It's trying to save, you know, the earth is like in trouble here, right?
So just for people who are asking, so the basic gist of what we saw, they laid out the basic premise of the movie. So you've got Ryan Gosling, who plays a brilliant scientist who had this theory about something's wrong with the sun, and nobody believed him, and he lost his job and career. This is what comes across in the trailer. And now he's like teaching like middle school science. But then the government shows up and says, yeah, we need to talk to you. Turns out that our sun has been infected. The sun is dying. And it turns out it's not only our sun. We're seeing that there's a bunch of stars that are dying that have kind of contracted it from the other stars.
Yes.
And they go, but we found one star in the middle of all of it that hasn't been affected. We need to send up astronauts to go figure out why that one's impervious and how we can fix our own sun. Ends up that they turn to Ryan Gosling and say, we're actually going to send you. And that's where this big comedic thing goes on. And it's great. And he eventually then goes. And then he's on this long space journey. You see, because you see him one shot, clean shaven. The next shot, he's got the long beard and the long hair. He's on this long journey to the star. And then as he gets close to the star, he looks out his window, and there's an alien spaceship. And that's where I was like, what? Like, I don't know. I've never read the book. So that's why, for me, it was just kind of like, it was that shock moment to me. That kind of I actually remember saying to you that should they have shown that in the trailer? But if it's like a core element of the story, I guess you're going to have to advertise
the thing about it is that alien spacecraft is there to solve the same problem.
Right, because their race.
Yeah, it comes from there. And
because their star's dying too.
Yeah, and what makes the book so good is you have these two alien races, us and another alien race, that have no idea how to talk to each other. We have no way to communicate. Our science is totally different. So how can these two totally different beings first figure out a way to talk to each other and then cooperate and save both their planets?
And he's literally on a death job. Like, he's going up there and he's which is crazy to me because it felt like he was forced up there. It looked like from the teaser he was kind of handcuffed to go up there,
it's all part of the story.
Right.
It's so good. It's not just
and it comes
simple.
out next year, right?
It comes out March 2026.
So I have a question. March films or first quarter release films don't typically get their flowers at the Oscars.
Well, that's true.
Does it having an early release kind
First
of
time for everything.
similar to Dune 2?
Yep, it does. It does. Like that's one of the. I think most of the criticisms that average film fans give the Oscars and the Oscar voters is just made up bullshit. But the one that is statistically proven true is that out of sight, out of mind with a lot of, I mean, that's just normal people. That's just being human. And releasing, if you've got real Oscar hopes for a movie, it's not impossible. Speaking of Handsome Hawk, he had that thing where that they shot over the course of like 10 years or Boyhood. And that was an early in the season release, and it did get some Oscar attention, but it does kind of hurt its chances a little bit.
I think that the story is so good and so affecting and so emotional that people are going to watch it all the way to the end of the year.
I hope.
They're going to go see it in the theater, and then they're going to go, because it's truly one of those. Look, I can just tell you this. I read a lot of science fiction, a lot of genre books. There are very few I sit down and read in one sitting. I was so entranced by this story, and it's a simple story. I had to know. I'm like, this is the greatest thing ever. And I was wondering, is this going to stick the landing? And the thing that gets me the most about this book is the whole book is great. And you're thinking, how are they going to end this? And the way they end it is so good. I mean, it's like Shawshank Redemption, Andy Dufresne's walking down the sand.
Do they have their own San Juanejo?
No.
Oh, okay.
It's not like that. I mean, what I mean is it's that effective.
Yes.
Because, Shawshank Redemption originally ended with the bus going over the hill, and they didn't have the San Juanejo ending. So they added that it was a reshoot, but not with this. Mm-hmm. And the ending, by the way, is not like that at all. But the ending is just the whole movie will put a giant smile on your face. And by the time we reach March 2026, I think the whole planet's going to want to be smiling.
I just got to say one more thing. This is a hell of a way for Amazon MGM to put their foot in the door and say,
this is the
I'm
great
here.
thing.
I'm here.
This is the kind of thing that you would think that they would put at the end of the presentation, and instead they kicked off their presentation with it. Anyway, banger job. I can't wait. Might be in the top 3 now of my most anticipated movies.
I'm so happy for you, Rob.
Yeah,
I know. I feel so
All right,
good.
but we spent a lot of time on
Yeah,
Project Hail Mary.
I'm
We need
sorry.
to move on because there's a bunch more films that they covered. What was next, Anne?
The Thomas Crown Affair. Just an update.
Right,
on
which
that.
they've only started shooting.
Yeah.
Michael B. Jordan is both producing, directing, and starring in this remake of it, of the Thomas Crown Affair, and they just had Michael on screen because he said, "I'm in London right now. I can't be there. We're making this movie." So they didn't really show us anything about it or tell us too much about it, but it is coming.
It's wild because it's the second remake of the Thomas Crown
Yes.
Affair. Norman Jewison directed the first one with why am I trying to Steve McQueen, and then the second version
Pierce Brosnan.
it's Pierce Brosnan with boy, I'm getting old.
Thor's mom.
And Thor's mom, but I mean it was directed by Die Hard director John McTiernan.
All right, so what was next?
Excuse me, because my handwriting gets progressively worse.
And
And
remember I said there was an after party after the Universal presentation before the Amazon presentation? Anne may have had a couple at the party. So as she's
what is this?
I'm gonna tell you a true story. So I came back to the hotel to do a little bit of work, and Ray got a bunch of things done too. And then when I left to meet them at the theater, and then Anne came in and sat beside me, and she said, "Hi, honey."
Oh,
I'm like,
God.
I'm like, "You had a couple, haven't you?" She goes, "Yeah." Like, okay.
Mary, right there.
So Project Hail Mary. So then Anne is the one who is taking the responsibility to during the presentations. She's got this little notebook
bad.
where she's keeping track of all the movies that are being talked about, and I could tell she was laboring with her handwriting. So then hours later, we come out of the presentation. Anne's like, "I don't know if I can read anything that I wrote. I don't know what I got here." So we're gonna see if we can get through it here.
All right,
What do we got
sorry.
here?
Okay, we got the first look of Verity.
Yeah,
Oh yes, this
which
is
is
the
based
one.
on a famous book, I guess.
This is the Andrew Garfield one. Andrew Garfield, Julia Roberts, and the girl.
No, that's
What
not.
about Anne Hathaway?
That's
Anne
that's
Hathaway.
Oh, that's right.
Josh
I've got that mixed up.
Really intriguing.
Dakota Fanning.
Okay, so Anne Hathaway, Josh Hartnett,
No, Dakota Johnson. Sorry.
and Dakota, and I was going to say Madam Web, but yes, Dakota Johnson. So Dakota Johnson, Anne Hathaway, Josh Hartnett.
Yeah.
I wasn't quite taken in by it at first,
Confused.
and by the end of it, I'm like, "This looks really twisted."
Yeah, it's a thriller. Like
This looks really twisted.
it looked like it had elements of misery
Yeah,
in it. A
Gone Girl.
writer.
a little bit of Gone Girl.
Yeah,
a little mystery,
I'm
mystery.
like, I got to see this.
Even The Shining, because she's supposed to be writing a book, right?
Yeah.
Like, a
Yeah, I
sequel
mean,
to her book or
yeah,
collecting
it
series.
looked whatever it was. It looked great.
I'm in.
Yeah, it
I'm
looked
in.
really good.
And Anne Hathaway, I'm in.
Every one of the movies that Amazon showed us was really handsome to look at.
Oh, yeah,
Beautifully
absolutely,
made.
yeah.
I mean, they are. You've got Sue Kroll and Courtney Valenti. You know, they are veterans of Warner Brothers. Courtney Valenti goes all the way back to Warner Brothers when I worked there in '89.
Wow.
She was Jack Valenti's daughter. They know they're going back. They're bringing the great studio movies back. They're on the hunt.
And
These
so
ladies are
the
on the
basic premise of this one is, and what's the title again? Is
Verity.
Verity. Is that Anne Hathaway plays a world famous author, and she meets and marries Josh Hartnett. Okay, now fast forward, she's getting ready to put out her final book, and Josh Hartnett hires Madam Web to come in to write the final book. She's like, "Why?" So he arranges this private meeting. Dakota Johnson comes to their house and finds that Anne Hathaway's character is now kind of basically in a wheelchair in a catatonic state. And he wants to protect his wife's legacy, say, "I'm going to get a ghostwriter to finish her last book for
For the
her
money.
because we don't want people to know she's in this state and whatever." But then it takes a twist, like of both supernatural horror elements. Obviously, Dakota Johnson is going to start banging Josh Hartnett because, of course, they do. And then, like, the visions start happening, and people are covered in blood, and it's like, at first, I was like, okay, this seems like a kind of a paint by numbers kind of story. But then by the time we got to the end of it, I'm like, okay, I'm not going to say it's one of my most anticipated films of the year, but mark me down. I'm going to want to see it.
I'm totally wanting to see it. I just hope that the movie isn't all in Dakota Johnson's head.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. It was like a guilt.
Yeah,
it was
that's
like
what
a
I was
guilt
like. It's
thing.
all in her head. Like, other
Yeah.
stuff's happening because Verity is like the name Misery. Misery is the name of the character.
Oh,
Misery Chastain in the story
I
Misery.
just spoiled it.
And Verity. No, it's just come on, man. I've read too much. It's, well,
What did you think about the
I
Verity
thought it
thing?
looked great. I had no interest in this prior to seeing the trailer. Even when the way they teed it up, I was like, okay. And then I really enjoyed it. I think it looks unique and twisted. And again, it poses questions that are not answered, and it made me want to find out what happens.
yes.
The moment you see her, that happens early in the trailer we saw, which was
Yeah.
extended. The moment you see Anne Hathaway,
Yeah,
I was like,
"Oh,
yo,
yeah, what's going on in
that
this?"
was intense.
Or was it? Remember
was-
that I really liked their intro to it. She was
Well,
like, or did she?
Well,
Or
that's
was-
why I was saying. Or yeah, I mean, were you giving stuff away, Dakota Johnson?
All right, what was next?
All right. So after that was After the Hunt. We saw a teaser trailer for that. And that's the one with Andrew Garfield and Julia Roberts.
And that's
Julia Roberts
Luca
and-
Guadagnino.
And the girl
I,
from The Bear.
Ed-
Yeah.
Yep.
Are those hearts next to Andrew Garfield's name right there? Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And glasses.
Andrew Garfield came out with his shirt half undone and
his
wearing the
glasses.
glasses, and his hair is perfect as ever.
And
And
his
Anne might have been a little flutter. It's like, and assless chaps. That was an odd choice. No, but this is a kind of a mid '90s kind of feel movie. So basically, you've got Andrew Garfield and Julia Roberts, who are colleagues. I guess they're both professors, and the girl from The Bear. I keep forgetting her name. Io. She is like a up and coming teacher. She's like, and she idolizes Julia Roberts. Then one night she accuses Andrew Garfield of sexual assault. We don't see it. We don't know what's true or not.
And he says she was cheating, and he caught her.
Yeah, that he caught her plagiarizing. And that's why she's saying this. And then it creates this whole mystery. Okay, is he lying? Is she lying? Blah, blah, blah.
she said.
And then at some point you get Julia Roberts talking to Io saying, I know you're in love with me. And like she goes, I don't think I'm comfortable having this conversation anymore. She goes, sometimes it's not about making you comfortable.
And the whole audience,
How good
the
was that
audience
line?
applauded. The
Yeah,
audience
the whole-
applauded that line.
Again, she says, I'm not comfortable having this conversation with you anymore. And Julia Roberts says, sometimes it's not about making you comfortable.
It was
Like that.
great.
Pretty Woman line. She Pretty Woman lined it. You know, never mind. forget
But
it.
that movie looks great.
It does.
I mean, it looks
yeah.
great.
This looks like something that could win some Oscars.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if this is what the movie that you said it to. No, it's not. But it's true, this one too. This looks like a great movie that I don't know that anybody's going to go see. I'm just saying. There's a couple of movies.
But
on
I-
this that-
I think it has a hot button. You know, it's like the he said, she said idea.
It's
Did
very,
your-
and they said this when they teed up. It's very culturally relevant.
Yeah.
now.
It is.
And
Coming off
it's
of
like,
Me Too.
but
what-
do people want to go to the movies to
That's the question.
engage in that topic?
I don't
if
know,
they do.
but it's like I miss movies like whether it's Fatal Attraction or when Robert Redford offers $1 million.
Indecent Proposal.
Indecent Proposal.
Yeah.
Those were water cooler movies where the next day people are like, would you allow someone to sleep with your wife for $1 million? And it causes that kind of culture. We don't have that
Well,
anymore.
we are all going to be thinking about it from Julia Roberts' perspective, where she's torn in the middle. She has
Yeah.
a relationship with both, and
She's in a
she's
relationship
trying to
with both
decipher what
people,
happened. And that's true. That could be kind of a water cooler, like, well.
And Luca
what do you think?
Guadagnino, he's going to bring something interesting to it. I mean, he's coming off of Challengers,
Yeah.
so it looks good. I mean, I was like,
What was his name, John?
Yeah. Nope.
What was the title of this called again? Sorry.
After the
After
Hunt.
the Hunt.
Okay.
All right. What was the next one?
The next one was Chris Pratt came out, and it was a movie called
Mercy.
Mercy.
This looks like a direct to Amazon streaming movie in concept. And at first I'm like, but again, by the end of it, I was kind of like, okay, so here's the basic idea of it. It's a little bit of Tom Cruise, Steven Spielberg, Minority Report, where it's a little bit in the future. Now the justice system is completely run by AI. And you're arrested and you're put into what's called the kill room. and you've got 90 minutes to have this little trial with an AI to present evidence to this AI that you're not guilty. And the AI is embodied by Rebecca Ferguson. So there's that. So
Can we make her my soulmate?
so here's a Rebecca Ferguson soulmate droid. So basically, the thing is this: Chris Pratt wakes up in this, like, chained down in this chair, and says, "You have been accused of murdering your wife, and you have 90 minutes to get us under a 92% certainty rate of guilt." Because there's this little meter that goes up and down. Like, now we're more certain of your guilt, but you got to get it below 92% certainty of your guilt, and you got 90 minutes to do it. And you have full access to all evidence, all camera recordings, all surveillance stuff. You have full, you can call people, whatever, but you're going to stay in this room, locked in this room. And if at the end of those 90 minutes, you haven't dropped your certainty of guilt below 92%, we then execute you. So he's got just this amount of time to do it. And by the end of it, I was kind of like, I love mysteries. And like this whole process of him and now trying to walk through this process, you know what remind me a little bit of? That Ryan Reynolds movie, Buried, where Ryan Reynolds is just, the whole movie's just him in a box, but he's trying to figure out how did he end up down there. And that reminds me a little bit of this.
Yeah. Go ahead.
It reminded me of that movie Unfriended, where there's all these murders
Yes.
taking
Oh, yeah.
place, and it's all kind of shown through Skype and computers and
And
stuff.
what was the John Cho movie with,
yeah, that one too.
Dude, I love that movie.
I can't remember the name of it. but
It's
Same
not
premise.
secret, but yeah.
No, it's one word. It was Unfounded or something.
Well, Unfriended was the first one.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Searching.
Searching.
Searching was
That's
the
the
name of it. Yeah.
You know, but what
With Rebecca, or with not Rebecca Messing, Messing, Deborah Messing.
Deborah,
Deborah
what,
Messing.
what excites me about this movie, it's directed by Timur Bekmenitov, who directed Night Watch and Day
Yeah.
Watch, those Russian movies. I think he directed Wanted, too, didn't
He
he?
did direct Wanted.
Wanted, they totally changed the premise with Angelina Jolie and
James
James
McAvoy.
McAvoy. I like him as a director, and it looked like it's right up his alley. I'll see it.
It does look
Sorry.
good. It does look really good.
Yeah. So and Chris Pratt came out on stage, did this whole, played it up. They had the chair out there with them, played into
That was
it.
very funny.
Yeah, it was pretty funny when Chris Pratt came out for that. All right. What was next?
Next, we had Crime 101. We had a sneak peek of that. We did get to see Chris Hemsworth and Halle Berry.
Yeah. So the movie's called Crime 101, and it's got multiple meanings to it. First of all, what you think Crime 101, but also it takes place in Los Angeles, and it focuses on this crime spree that happens all along the 101 freeway. So Chris Pratt plays this high-end burglar, but he never commits any violence in doing his burglaring stuff, right?
Oh, thank you.
And it also has who is it? Mark Ruffalo is in there,
Barry Keoghan.
and Barry Keoghan is in there, and like it's all kind of these four connecting stories, and they're after this briefcase that has watches and jewels. Did they say worth $1 billion? That's all in this one briefcase. A number of watches and jewels that came to a value of about $1 billion or something like that. Anyway, so it's this big crime thriller, all this kind of stuff. They showed the preview for it. I think it looked really fun.
This one stole the show for me. This one
Did it really?
Yeah, I did. This is another one where I didn't even know it was coming. I didn't know anything about it, and it blew me away. I love heist films. I loved the way that they teed it up when they talked about how, when you live in LA, like all these different people, all these different walks of life, bump shoulders, and it reminded me, it was like Crash meets Heat with like a little bit of Baby Driver, like action energy in there, and I was psyched.
Now I gotta
Really
say
psyched.
why I'm so stoked about this movie. Again, it's because this is an adaptation of one of my favorite writers, Don Winslow, of his California noir books. It's actually a short story. I think it's called Broken. Now, Don Winslow, he's had another book adapted called Savages that Oliver Stone made.
Yep, that had
Blake Lively,
Ricky
Taylor
Tikitaki, and Taylor
Yeah, and it had
Kitsch.
John
Yeah.
Travolta and Selma Hayek. I'm a huge Don Winslow fan. And I've often thought that somebody should start the Don Winslow verse where they could just adapt all of his books. The reason that Martin Scorsese ended up making The Irishman was they were going to first adapt a book called The Winter of Frankie Machine. that De Niro was going to play an assassin. They didn't get to do that. So, to be fair, Don Winslow does send me books. He does send me galleys of his books to read. He has a trilogy of books that I'd love to see adapted. And I went back and forth with him on Twitter, and Shane Salerno sends me his new books, but I really love Don Winslow. And I discovered him in the 90s when I first read his book, California Fire and Life. So I can't wait to see this. Can't wait to see it.
All right. So that was Crime 101. All right. What was next?
Okay, so the next one is Three Bags Full, a sheep detective story.
Okay. So this was the weirdest one of the night. You heard that right. The name of the movie is Three Bags Full, a sheep detective story. The basic premise is this. A group of sheep, and it's live action, a group of sheep's beloved shepherd is murdered. And the sheep, this isn't animated, decide that they need to go to the city and solve the murder. And it stars Hugh Jackman. And the poster comes up with the big blue letters, 3 bags full, Hugh Jackman standing there dressed like a farmer holding a sheep. And I told the guys, if this presentation had been yesterday, I would have thought this was an April Fool's joke. But it's real. And Emma Thompson is in it.
Yeah.
And it's written by Craig Mason,
Yes.
who wrote Chernobyl and the Last of Us series.
Yes.
I can't believe this.
Why is this not at the top of the list of the greatest movies probably never to be coming out?
I listen, and then Hugh Jackman says like, listen, we read the story. And again, it's written by Craig Mason. And it's like it's just there's so much heart and blah blah blah. They showed us a presentation for it. We watched all the footage. I still don't get why this movie was made. I don't understand. I didn't catch any of that sweetness. I didn't catch any of that charm. I didn't catch any of that mystery.
Well, we did just see behind the scenes stuff.
Still.
But how are the sheep going to solve the murder?
It's like
How the
Sheep Ventura.
solve the murder?
This.
They don't have opposable thumbs.
He talks. So he has this bond with the sheep, right?
Yeah, he's their beloved shepherd or
the sheep
something. Yeah,
whisperer.
he's the sheep whisperer.
Yeah, the piece of sheep.
Attaboy, pig.
Maybe
Or
this movie
Addle
will
do
be
pig.
awesome, but the stuff we saw reminded me of a parody trailer in front of Tropic Thunder. That's
Yes,
what it reminded me of.
yes, or a Saturday Night Live
Because
thing.
it was so wild how stacked the creative force behind this movie is. And then we were like, what?
But it was like you never got a sense of, like in Babe,
Yeah.
the animals talk to each other.
Yeah.
But there's no indication that these sheep speak.
There's no indication there's any dialogue, and it's just bah.
Yeah.
That's
none.
it.
But maybe they do.
Yeah.
Maybe again, maybe once a full proper trailer comes out, it will change the narrative here. But it's like
I was delighted by it. I'm like,
either
I
in
just
or
want
you're not
to.
in.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm in. I'm in.
All right, what's next?
The only thing I'll say about that is let's not forget that Amazon started as a online bookstore. It's based on a book.
Oh, that's true.
Which
Well, yeah. It's, Crime 101. This is based on a book.
Almost all of
Project Hail Mary is
a lot
based
of
on a
the
book.
movies that they presented today. The next one is
God is God.
God
Is God?
God.
Sorry, is God is?
Is
God is.
God is.
Man,
Yeah.
does that look good?
With
This
Vivica
is
Fox.
the one that I turned to you and I said, it looks like it's probably going to be awesome.
And then I said to you,
No one's going to see it.
well, what I said to you is, it looks like a Quentin Tarantino movie.
It does. It does.
It totally looks like. So the basic premise is this: these two twin sisters, both of them are damaged. One more so, clearly by a fire when they were younger. And they thought their mom was dead, but then they found out their mom's alive.
Yeah.
They go see their mom, and mom is God. And the reason they call her God is because she created them. So because
And by the way, we should say that this is based on a play.
yes, on a Broadway show. And so they go visit their mother, Vivica A. Fox, who also is all burned up, but she's dying. And they get their mother's last wish. And their mother's last wish is find and kill your father. That's the last wish. Who's played by Paradise's Sterling K. Brown. Also of This Is Us, also from the first Black Panther movie.
Who
He's
I love.
the dad. He's great. He's such a great actor. So he's the dad. So that's this whole thing is that these two sisters, one of them very badly disfigured because of the fire damage on her. I guess when they were little girls, the dad burned their mother and tried to burn them too, and then left them and abandoned them. So the mom says, "Find your father and kill him." That's her dying wish. And then it's kind of like somebody said it at the end, and I'm glad that they did, because the whole time watching feels like this feels like a different version of the Odyssey, a little bit, because they go on this
Odyssey.
to find and murder their father. So a little bit of Odyssey, a little bit of Kill Bill in there maybe. So, and I think you were bang on the money, Cody. This is another one that looks like, you know what? I think this is going to be really good.
And it's
Yeah.
super, super original.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
yeah.
absolutely feels like a Quentin Tarantino movie. I don't know if anybody's going to go see it.
And it's also a first time. I love Amazon's doing this. The writer of the play, she wrote and directed.
They let her adapt the
Yeah,
screenplay
she
and
directed
film.
it. So good for her. That's the way people should be working. And they also made a point to say this is coming out from the newly revived Orion label.
Yeah.
So they have United Artists, Orion, and MGM, and they're going to make the Orion label the label where more people of color or people from diverse backgrounds can work underneath that label to make stories like this. Which, if this is what we're going to get, I'm all for it.
Yeah.
Bring it on.
And again, name of the movie is God Is.
Looks so good.
It looks pretty interesting. All right. What was next?
Next was Your Mother, Your Mother, Your Mother.
Yeah, they didn't actually have anything to show us. It's supposed to be a high octane action violent movie with, again,
Blade.
Mahershala Ali, also known as Blade, where he plays a hitman. We've heard this before.
Yeah.
Hitman also struggles with being a father and all this kind of stuff. But apparently it's a huge high octane action thing. They had nothing to show us. Mahershala Ali is actually off shooting it right now, so he sent in a video message, even though he was here yesterday to talk about Jurassic. But he said, "Sorry, I couldn't hang around."
You mean
but we-
earlier? Yeah, earlier today.
Yeah,
Yeah,
sorry I
it's
couldn't hang
there.
around. That's right, it was the same day. Sorry I couldn't hang around for the Amazon presentation, but I had to fly back to do this. So it sounds great. Looking forward to it, but it's called Your Mother, Your Mother, Your Mother, which is a really interesting title. But they had nothing to show us at this point. All right. But yeah, the first thing I turned to Cody though and I said, he ain't got no time to do Blade now. He's
It's not
starting
happening.
another movie now.
Yeah.
So, all right. What was next?
Very quick mention of James Bond. Just very quick.
Oh,
nothing.
yeah. So we have on the thumbnail of this video, we put on James Bond because we thought we would get some pretty big talk about James Bond. But all they really said was like, look, we just announced that we brought on 2 producers who are going to shepherd James Bond from now on. And they're in London working. And that was it.
That's
And-
good. At least they're going to do it in London.
Yeah. I mean, there's that.
That's a step in
And
the
then
right
they moved
direction.
on. So that was it for Bond. I was really expecting to get, I wasn't expecting to get announcement about who the new James Bond was.
No.
But I thought they would really talk about James Bond and what it means to MGM and all that. Well, they didn't. They just said, we got producers working on it right now.
Or Jeff Bezos explaining what he meant by those fucking idiots over there.
And just be clear, Jeff Bezos was not here.
Just kidding.
All right, what's next?
Okay, so then we got a behind the scenes look at the Masters of the Universe movie.
Oh my God.
I was not expecting this. And Ray, son, I think you should change the thumbnail and take out Bond and put it
I
in.
wasn't either.
We were not
reaction was-
expecting
Yeah.
Masters of the Universe. We were not expecting it. And as soon as they brought up the title logo, again, single voice in the entire theater. Yeah! Let's go!
Only reason why I did that, as you know, when they first announced this and we talk about it on the show, I tear up because this is like the dream series I want to see a new movie of. Along with Voltron, they're doing that. I was expecting something maybe Voltron, but why would they put both those movies on the same presentation? They're almost the same like crowd. So this one caught me by surprise, and I just wanted the cheering to be just as loud as Wicked because I want to show the people.
Yeah,
up
it
there.
wasn't. It was just you.
Yeah, but then a part of me felt like at least they know one person they're making happy.
Yeah.
You know, and that's all. Those ladies up there, as sweet as they are, they said it, Masters of the Universe, and then when they're just whoa, you know, I just want them to know that they're choosing the right thing.
Well, it was wild because these were all really original visions, and you're watching. They didn't have some
Is
IP
God Is,
tentpole,
all these movies,
and then you
films.
get into the most tentpole of tentpoles. I mean, a franchise that was designed originally to sell toys. That's why it existed.
But listen up. It was in the format of behind the scenes.
Oh God.
The presentation they gave us for this. But even though it was in the format of
Dude.
behind the scenes, we saw a lot. And here's the thing. I am not one of these people, but if you are, you're going to be happy. If you are one of these people that when an adaptation gets made, you want it to look just like it did in the cartoon. I'm not one of those people myself. I'm just saying if you are one of those people that when an adaptation is made of an old cartoon that you want them to look just like they did, you're going to be happy.
The
Holy
designs are
Lord.
incredible.
The designs are bang on what you saw in the animated form back in the 80s and 90s. They've brought it to physical life and made it look exactly like you envisioned it would look like in real life.
But with verisimilitude.
But with
I
verisimilitude.
mean, it was some of those costuming, like the sorceress.
How good did Alison Brie look as Evil Lynn?
Oh my God!
How good did she look as Evil
and
Lynn?
Idris Elba's Man at Arms.
Looked amazing.
Amazing.
Yeah, that looked
And all of
great.
Eternia and where the sword is. I mean, it looked incredible.
And this kid, he took the form of a action figure body. Like we didn't see any of it, like any of the skin, but just how bubbly he looked.
Oh, yeah.
Like this guy filled out the He-Man form.
And
I just filling out the He-Man form.
You know who else looked great? Skeletor.
oh,
It looked awesome.
it
The
looks
Skeletor thing. Now, they fell
Jared
short
Leto.
of letting us see Jared Leto's face, but they showed us several shots of Leto walking
Yeah,
around
oh.
just from the neck down, and even the staff,
it's
Skeletor's staff is perfect. And then while they didn't show us Leto's face, they did show us his body walking or Leto walking around, but then some concept art with the face on it. And it's like, but like every character from Beast Man to Many Faces
Holy
to
crap.
like all the different from Cyclops, so all the different characters, they showed us them and it was like, this looked like they took the designs directly from the old cartoon.
You know how in Transformers they had to choose like 3 or 4 Autobots or whatever
Yeah,
because
yeah.
the roster's so huge. I felt like there was a little shot where a bunch of them are running, and I was like, "That's Fisto, that's Spikor, that's Triclops."
Oh, yeah,
that's
dude.
this. They are. It's almost like they said we're not going to make any other movie after this. We better throw everything in this one.
it looks like and I have to say, Travis Knight, I've told this story before, but I interviewed him for a licensing convention for Hasbro before he'd started directing Bumblebee. So I sat down with him and talked to him for a long time while we were setting up the cameras and stuff. That guy's the perfect director for this. And after seeing Bumblebee and after seeing Kubo and the Two Strings, and what he said, we saw him in behind the scenes footage talking about doing He-Man. This movie is going to rock. It's going to be so
And they showed-
metal. I can't wait to see this.
They showed a model of Battle Cat of what he's supposed
Oh
to
yeah,
look like.
they didn't show
have
us
the
Battle Cat. It was only conceptual drawings of what they're going to make Battle Cat look like. So
Jeez.
who was it? Who's Morena Baccarin was playing
Oh, yeah.
the sorceress.
Yeah.
She looked great.
Great. And also the production designer, Guy Hendricks Dias, worked on X2, did Superman Returns. He did Black Hat for Michael Mann. And he's the perfect production designer
Dude,
for this.
speaking of production design, that was the thing that blew me away the most. The sets.
Oh,
And there was
Eternia.
one shot
Yeah,
where
Eternia
they
looked great.
panned out was like a helicopter shot of the facilities where they're filming everything. These 6 massive
It's
indoor.
huge.
It's insane. The scope is crazy, and it was really cool seeing Travis Knight talk about how he's been preparing his whole life for this.
Literally.
Like,
Yeah.
the
He
nerds
said,
are
my
gonna
whole life.
I-
My whole life has been about trying to make a He-Man movie.
And we were so worried when the first set photos came out and it was just He-Man in the city. Just seeing Eternia being built like that.
arrested by
The
Malkoff.
Eternia is going to be.
Oh,
big part of
this
it.
movie takes place. It might start on Earth or something. It takes place in Eternia.
Yeah.
It's-
I don't know. I think it might be half and half, but
I don't know.
Lord looked great.
Oh, everything looks so good.
I'm going to love this, but I still have a little bit of feeling that this could be really bad, but I'm still going to love it just because it's.
I don't think
everything.
Travis Knight
Rob,
would
just
make
bring
it
your
back.
mic a little bit further away. From me.
Oh,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
too loud.
Yeah.
It's Travis Knight.
I
It's
can't
Travis
wait to
Knight.
see it. I can't wait.
Big surprise.
I never
Big
thought
surprise.
I'd be excited for a Masters of the Universe movie, to be honest.
Yeah.
Now, look, it takes more than costume design to get me excited about
Yeah.
a movie because ultimately the costume design isn't going to make the movie better or worse to me. It's all about the dialogue, the characters, the action, all that kind of stuff. I don't know if they're going to do a good job or not. It is Travis Knight. I love him. I mean, Kubo and the Two Strings and the Bumblebee movie, he's 2 for 2 in my opinion. But I just reiterating, if you are one of those people that I am not, which is that it's really important to get the same look as the animated stuff, then you are going to be very, very pleased
Oh,
because
man.
they absolutely did that. All right. What was next?
The last one was The Accountant 2.
They bring out John Bernthal and Ben Affleck. Talk about it's been 9 years since they did this.
And the
first
director,
one.
Gavin.
And Gavin. Gavin
O'Connor.
Thank you. He comes out as well, and they come out and they talk about the 9 years, of getting back
And
into
two
the
of the lead
character,
actresses too, by the way.
and all this kind of stuff. Now, look, you know that I have been very excited for. I've been wanting them to do a second Accountant movie ever since I saw the first one. I love the first one. I've always thought it was tragically underrepresented. I thought it was tragically underperformed. And I never thought that we would get a second one because it didn't make much money and so much time has passed. And so I was really excited when they announced they're doing a second one. I liked the first trailer. I thought it was really good. But what they showed us tonight took it to a whole new level. This movie looks so good.
Yeah.
Him and Bernthal have an amazing chemistry together. They showed us so much stuff that wasn't in like the original trailer and all that kind of stuff, including like line dancing. I'm just gonna leave it at that. There's a line dancing scene and it's absolute gold. The lines in it were hilarious. They're super violent. A lot of cool kills we already saw, and just obviously Ben Affleck's character, being a character who's on the spectrum and everything, makes him such an interesting character. He goes on speed dating in one thing.
That was so funny.
It was so funny. So anyway, you saw the whole thing. What did you think about it?
Oh my gosh, I couldn't be more excited for this movie. I mean, I was already pretty hyped up. Like, I loved the first one. And I was so happy to see it do well on VOD and then streaming all these years. That's what got us the sequel.
Yeah.
Is now there's a new built-in fan base that discovered it after the theatrical release.
100%.
And it looked that you're right, that when they're in the barn and he's line dancing and then the guy kind of roughs him up a little bit and he's like, yeah, my brother wasn't having a good night, but he's gonna have a good night now. That was awesome.
It was great.
And I know John's super excited for this movie. I can't say the same for me. I do like what I see, but I was very happy to see Ben Affleck for once. He looks good. He looks healthy. He looks happy. He looks clean. He looks on stage.
And he looked legitimately like he was having fun on stage.
Yeah, because sometimes when we've seen him lately, especially, things are happening. But I'm glad to see and feel like he got it back together again.
He and Bernthal were going off script because I was looking over on the panel to see what they were reading, and they were enjoying themselves.
Yeah,
that you're right, Ray. That was great.
Because John Bernthal, because look, when all the actors come out on stage, they're reading from the teleprompter that are all over the auditorium, so they can look anywhere in the auditorium, they can see a teleprompter, and some of them do it better than others. But John Bernthal, like first Ben Affleck is talking, blah blah, and then John Bernthal goes, "As an actor, I really like," and Ben Affleck's like, "Really? You have to just let everybody know that you're an actor? I think everybody in here knows you're an actor. Who wrote this?" Like,
which threw him kind of off a little bit.
But then it kind of came off the wheels a little bit between Bernthal and him, which was so funny.
First of all, whoever vetted that dialogue,
not great,
was terrible.
Oh, it was terrible written stuff.
But then he followed up on that joke because then there was some more bad dialogue that they both kind of like chuckled and were like, "Oh, really?" And then he goes, "I guess you do have to announce that you're an actor."
Yeah, I guess you do have to remind people you're an actor.
They were enjoying it.
Like, they were having fun with it. But anyway, Rob, you saw the trailer. What did you think about it?
You and I have both been longtime fans of that. I own the first movie on 4K. I can't wait to see this again. Or see the whole movie. I haven't seen the movie at all, except that this long trailer.
And they showed us a lot.
They showed
you guys.
They showed a ton. And I can't, because the movie was like 9 years ago, I can't remember if you saw it with me or not. Did you ever see the?
I did see it.
You did see it.
I enjoyed it.
What did you think about the stuff they showed us tonight?
I thought it was a great, sequel, right?
Yeah.
Sequel to the first one. I think seeing John Bernthal and Ben Affleck kind of have their interactions on stage, I think that's going to play out on screen really well. I'm just excited for the character. I think we've talked about this character, and there's an appreciation for the fact that I think he's autistic.
He's on the spectrum. Yeah.
Yes, and I think that they don't need to make it obvious, but I think that it resonates with that community as well. in terms of the portrayal of this character, what he can do, and also being on the spectrum.
So there's somebody just put in the live chat. Yeah, that the Accountant 2 starring Daredevil and the Punisher. Anyway, it looked great. And so gotta say, to Amazon MGM, well done.
Yeah.
Well done for making an impression on your first time at CinemaCon, your first time on that stage, now as a legit studio, getting in front of the theater owners, and they really made an impression. It was great.
I didn't happen to look into the box that they gave us, but that was another sign that this was their first time here, because they gave us a little gift box when we walked out. It had Amazon MGM on it. I haven't
It's like
opened
little
it.
Stanley cups.
Oh, is it?
Awesome.
They're
Yeah,
nice.
they're
It's
really
still
nice.
great. I mean,
They're
they
really
had
nice.
packaging and wrapping.
We've been getting a lot of swag this one.
I
Actually.
just want to point out that through all our years that we've gone here, not even hitting the last day, we have been blessed with a bunch of stars here. So like, man, we got a bunch of big heavy hitters
Yeah.
actually here appearing at
They do that a lot, most years.
But lately, because of like, you know, their off years and not a lot of studios, it feels like it's coming back together again, is all I'm saying, with the stars.
Remember
the stars.
last year, like the very first night at CinemaCon last year, we were all walking to the auditorium, very first time, sitting down. How's it going to start? And it immediately starts with, ladies and gentlemen, you just hear a voice, Oprah Winfrey.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And like Oprah Winfrey comes walking in, like you feel like everybody in the auditorium is like, are we supposed to bow? Or anyway, so
I only remember Dennis Quaid in.
always seem to bring a lot of people out, and again, big marks to Amazon. Now let's see if they follow through, and if they do,
They're
good
going to have
for
a
them.
good 2026.
Their 2026 looks great. I mean, all these movies. I mean, the sheep one, but anyway, the Dollhouse one, but a lot of films that they presented tonight that I'm very excited about. Obviously,
Dollhouse is Universal.
Oh, that's right. That
Yeah.
was Dollhouse. But Project Hail Mary.
It's going to win the
I'm
Oscar.
now I'm on the bandwagon now.
It's going to be the Oscar Best Picture.
Let's
All
wait.
right.
Let's do another Barbenheimer. Project He-Man.
Project.
There you go. Let's do it.
All right, guys. Listen, it is because the panel ended at 10 o'clock. Then we had to walk from Caesars back to Flamingo and get everything set up and get started. We've now been going for 2 hours. It's 12:30 in the morning. We have now gone through all the presentations. We have a bunch of super chats that you guys have sent in. I am going to call an audible here and saying we can't get through the super chats tonight. We just can't. It's 12:30. For the people watching on the East Coast, it's 3:30 in the morning. So,
And we were up at 7 a.m.
yeah, we were up at 7 this morning, and we got our first presentation tomorrow at 10.
Oh, is
Which
that
means
then?
we got to be in line at 9. So here's what I'm going to do. I will add the super chats that you guys have sent in to tomorrow's stream. That means a lot of super chats, I'm sure, but we'll do it and we'll get through it. It's just it's 12:30 in the morning here, and we got to get up for stuff in the morning. So if with your indulgence, don't worry, we've got all the super chats saved. We'll get to them, but that will do it for us for tonight. For both the Universal presentations, the How to Train Your Dragon full screening, and the Amazon MGM presentation on day 3 here at CinemaCon. We got a big day tomorrow. Paramount Pictures is doing their presentation, and then the final presentation of the week, Disney, Marvel,
Wow.
like big stuff tomorrow, guys. So we're gonna go get some sleep, guys. That'll do it for us for tonight. Thank you so much for joining us, and we will talk to you tomorrow again from Las Vegas CinemaCon. We'll talk.